Let's do it. We have been talking for about 45 minutes. We've almost done a show with Bobby.
Yeah, y'all
Hewitt.
missed a good show.
It was a really good show. Thank you so much,
We
Bobby.
just didn't record it.
Bobby Hewitt, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. All right, that's it. And
right.
here we go.
Have a good night.
Good night. Love y'all.
Oh, no, we're just kidding. No, we've got a great show. Bobby Hewitt is in studio. He is running around the mountains of North Georgia. We don't want to disclose his city. I'm going to change his, like, this is the way it should have been.
So, yeah, I don't want anybody to know where I'm at, so just everybody be cool.
You're on the run. It's like one of those FBI things.
Ask me, say, Bobby Hewitt, where are you living now?
Bobby, where you living?
Somewhere.
Sorry.
It doesn't work like that.
Somewhere. in
You don't
North
have the
Georgia.
effect, damn it. But
Damn it. This
anyway, that would have been great.
technology.
But welcome to the show. He's our two-time guest now. Only a handful of guys.
Yeah.
Wygant, Plessinger,
Ferry.
Barry,
Carmichael.
RC.
RC.
Weege doesn't count. He's just like when you're scraping the barrel for somebody, like whatever. But thanks for coming all the way over and hanging out with us. And
You're welcome.
this is Bobby. We're trying to get. This is
We just when we have extra coupons.
yes.
And we send him the coupons
Yes.
for the free Sunday with your Dairy Queen combo. And
This
he's
is,
like,
He can't resist it, so
Yeah,
he,
he can't
he
stop.
has
He
to be
can't.
on.
So we got Bobby signed up on Indeed. We're going to get him locked in with a new job here. So Bobby's, what are you looking for, Bobby? What field are you looking? What trade are you looking for? Grass cutting? What would you?
Yeah.
You've done a lot of that down there.
I'm good at that.
He can lay down a zero turn.
I think we do. I mean, we're clearly in need of a team manager for our 3XR 250s.
Whoa, dude! I told him about that. We had 3XRs that are
Like
the
the-
parts, and this guy was in charge of racing. Have you ever had a rider that had to work on all the bikes and
Yeah, he's
race?
been a crew
And
chief.
be the transport
It's like
driver.
Yeah.
Pete
I
Rose
mean,
being a manager.
that could be a
player
problem.
manager.
I mean, based on some that might be an issue if you're crew chief and a rider.
And
Yeah.
a transport
and
driver.
transport
transport
driver.
driver, yeah,
Yeah.
And I bought the food, which transport guy usually handles.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing: your home and your studio is fantastic.
Well, thank you. This thing used to be packed. So my wife had all of our baby videos converted to digital. And there's a bunch of them. No,
That was like
I'm gonna
the
stay the course.
hardest-
listen,
we're
just
gonna
stay the course.
I know, I looked at
You'll
that.
I
see
just
why.
want this to come back full circle somehow, but that
So
was like
there's one video that's down here when my 21-year-old was about 6.
Yeah.
And there is motorcycles wall to wall. I had little DG 50s, Honda MR50s that were yellow,
Bobby
monoshock.
loved this one, by the way. So
The
that speaks to it.
XR75, that's my favorite motorcycle.
That's mine too.
Yeah, was that like your first bike ever, or did
My
you
second
second
one.
There you go.
First
XR75?
real off-road one.
Yeah. What was the first bike?
It was a Yamaha.
Little mini enduro or something?
A little trail.
Mini trail.
60 or something. JT.
John knows it. John's way more versed in these the bikes that were before his time. Like,
or he's just completely full of shit when he knows
you
that
just
we
act
don't
like you know what you're
I'm-
talking
when
about.
he
know.
knows that we don't know, and he's
I
like,
wouldn't know. Yeah, he's like,
That's
yeah.
your basic KR. It's
That's the
that's
first.
the first gen KR X5750.
That's the first one that
You're just
had-
making stuff up. Anyway, back to your home movies. Like, tie this all back in.
Well, so this basement used to be absolutely, it had about 25 bikes down here. Not just in this half, it was over there too, but bikes I had forgotten I owned. I had a little, it was a CR80, but it was done up like the Johnny O'Mara Mugen.
Mugens, yeah.
Mugen Honda, so it was white and red, blue seat cover said Johnny O. And then I had a DG Honda 50 that had a monoshock. It was an MR50 monoshock. And blue and yellow, the bike's yellow, and had, Terry Hunter built all this stuff, and I just kind of forgot that I owned those. I'd keep them for a while, and somebody just have to have it, and I'd sell it. And the Scott Russell actually has that West Coast dealer guy, Pacific Northwest. If you know Scott Russell,
not the
he
road
has
racer.
that. No, he has the. Oh, man, I hope now you're making me think. Did I say his name wrong? I think it's right. So. But some of those bikes ended up way out there because they were just really trick. And what my kid video reminded
Still
me of
waiting
that.
for it.
Yeah, I'm like,
My kid video reminded me of that.
Okay. Because I looked
So,
at it, he's like not
y'all
satisfied
are just
with your
randomly
answer.
watching kid videos this week.
They came back digital, so we're fine. We can see our kid when he was little. It's
Man,
pretty cute.
That's awesome. I wish I had videos of any sort. My house burnt down 1 year ago to the day.
Oh, really?
Today,
Well, within a couple of days, yes.
Were you cooking a turkey?
No, I know how that works out. No, it burnt to the ground, lost everything, and we all lived through it together as friends in the show, whatever. But so when I hear stories, because I literally had a box of VHS-Cs that I'd never even seen them. Like I videoed them and put them away.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm going to take these bad boys. I looked at companies in Marietta to digitize them, never did it. So probably that and my dog are my biggest losses from that house.
gnarly,
It
man.
sucks, man. But
Yeah, it was harsh.
anyway, Bobby, that's a way to bring the vibe down
So
here.
can you take that XR75 exhaust note, if you ever hear one run again, I mean, does it take you right back to when you were a kid?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I was telling him we moved your KX80.
I see that.
And when we slid it over here, my brother had that exact motorcycle, and I remember how the grips felt in my hands. That they were kind of those stock OEM grips where you could feel them. They just had a distinct feel about them. I'm like, man, this thing, is tiny. That thing is as big as that 60 right next to it. Isn't that wild? Like we weren't shorter back then. It's just
And that's not a 30-year progression.
No, it's 5 years.
5 years.
5 years. 79 to an 83.
Well, that's
83
right.
kicks, 60.
I told him though. One of my best friends had my best friend had the 80 KX80, and then I got the 81, which had
man.
Unitrack. And it was a whole
That's a
different
game
motorcycle.
changer.
It was almost like cheating. You know what I mean? Like it was a whole different
Suspension
deal.
travel.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we took this bike, Bobby, and we would always go down to Florida in the winter and race this one race because it would be like 19 degrees here, and we would just go south to escape it, And we took this one, and me and my daughter would use it as a pit bike, and we'd be riding, and I said, you have no way of knowing this, but that exhaust note right there, that sound, that's my childhood.
That's the first thing you did on those when you got them. You changed the bike.
Yeah. And it's aiming right at your ear.
Beautiful.
The thing that, like talking about those goofy XRs, we had the 250s. When we took them to vintage motorcycle days, the thing that took me back on that motorcycle to childhood is the first creek crossing. When the water hits that air cooled, like that hot air cooled motor, that smell that comes off of it, I was like, holy shit,
goodness.
I'm 12 years old again.
Bobby
Never
knew
did that.
immediately.
Yeah,
He knew
like-
immediately what he was
Like
going
that
to steam comes
smell,
up.
yeah, and you're like,
Yeah.
there's nothing that smells like that. And it's like not a good smell.
No, it's not a good
No.
smell, but
It
it's triggered to some memories or
Yes.
tied to
Yeah.
some memories.
You just hope you didn't crack your head.
Yeah.
Oh, that cold water is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
They say that your olfactory senses are the most tied to
They
your
are.
memory.
Yep, absolutely.
Like
Oh,
smell
man.
is the most.
If I hit fresh cut grass as a BMX national in South Park, Pennsylvania, every time. That's where I go to if someone just cut their grass.
That or the first fire of the year takes me back to Halloween, running around when the first fire started happening. You were a kid or whatever.
Me, I went to that place in Seattle, that fish market. It took me right back to one of my girlfriends from.
Knew it.
Listen, don't follow him down. Just sit
No.
back and go, no. He's never serious.
Because we'll be over here going, oh,
Yeah,
fish
man,
market.
I remember
yeah.
my dad died too, and then it's some crazy ass story this guy's going to throw you.
Exactly.
Well, Bobby,
I was
thanks for
worried
coming.
about what I was going to say.
Yeah, yeah. Thank God you didn't follow that up. Yeah, I mean, no, I can't say
No,
that.
He
never
goes,
mind.
hey, I knew her.
Yeah, that's
Went to
right.
school with her.
I went to the same fish market.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's the hard part about doing these shows is like we are forever kind of
Sixth graders.
locked into these things. Like, so we did a charity ride for a dear friend of mine whose wife has ALS, and I think you even reposted about it.
Yeah.
So we did the ride, and then we were
Called
over.
the Great Escape.
Yeah, this is Triumph. The
Great
Triumph all
Escape
came
Grand
out.
Prix
Yeah.
motocross.
Yep, and then we had the Triumph, the jump, the fence post where he jumps over the fence. We replicated some of that on the track, but anyway, the family was like, "Yeah, we want to listen to your show." I'm like, I don't know if you want to do that. Like, and then the mother texted me and John. She goes, "I don't have Nick's number, but me and Victoria, we're just giggling listening to the show." I'm like,
And there was one other person present. Do you remember who that was? It's the preacher's wife. It's cool. Let's have
so
the
we get
preacher's-
into some stuff. Like, we have fun. Like, we're no different in public, but like, I was like, I don't know if you. All right, whatever. Anyway, these
'Cause
things are for,
sometimes we joke about a Seattle fish market tied to the core
Nick's
memory of
love
some girl.
making. That's what we have to deal with. But these things are forever a footprint. Like when I'm gone and dead, like my kids will be able to go back and go, man, our dad was an idiot. Like
I know.
I'm kind of stuck with that.
But man, they aren't going to say it like it's bad.
I hope not.
Same way you
I hope
talk
not.
about your dad and all that swagger and stuff like that. They will tell stories about, man, my dad would say this and he would do that. It's going to be similar.
He beat my mom, man. He was a cool guy.
It's cool. No, they're not going to say that because you didn't beat their mom.
All right. So anyway, let's circle. Let me go full
I just
circle.
hope like my kids never trying to get a job, and they're like, "Well, your dad,
was a white
Oh, you're
supremacist.
Blackman's kid. You anything like him?
Yeah, we're not a fan of that at all. So, Bobby, thanks for coming by. And we know what happened at Triumph, so you're no longer employed with them. So we'll go and get that out of the way, the elephant in the room, and kind of talk about what you can and can't talk about. Obviously, there's some details that nobody needs to know about. I mean, being a professional, you don't want to just divulge the inner workings of Triumph, but like it sounds like based on our conversations, it was just you're kind of an old school guy, and this is it's a new age, man.
I mean, I have nothing bad to say about Triumph. Triumph's a great organization. I love the people that were there. Enjoyed my time there. It's a great bike. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and really enjoyed all of it. It's, as a business owner, I always said, at heart, I'm somewhat of an entrepreneur, and as an entrepreneur, the challenge in building something new is the most rewarding
That's exciting.
Part. That's what you like. Once it starts running on its own and all that, somewhat you get bored with it. Although I wasn't bored, but these last 2.5 years I've been really busy.
Hey, how would you rate? Like, I've heard people say, I guess Triumph was a flop. I'm like, do you understand? Like, you guys were, I don't know if you were on the box with that bike. Were you on the box? Did you finish a podium?
There was a heat
that's
win.
what I thought.
Wasn't there a heat win?
No, you had a podium finish too.
Heat win and a overall podium.
That's that's an incredible first year run without any like anything to go by. Like, it's a brand new just shape of a motorcycle, and here we go. So anyway, can you speak to that? Like, how do you when you walk away, you can go, man, we got on the box first year on a brand new, never from a manufacturer's never made a motorcycle, a dirt bike.
They got a bike 2 weeks before Anaheim won, or whatever, 3 weeks before, like not nearly enough time. You couldn't set up your own bike that you already own for something like that in 3 weeks, and you guys went racing.
Well, we went racing on the East Coast and with Jalik and everything, and Jalik did really well. I mean, did we have our challenges? Yes, but I mean, every team has its challenges. I mean, everybody thinks that, hey, the grass is greener on the other side, but it's not. I mean, I say everybody's got skeletons in their closet. You might not be proud of them, but you got skeletons in your closet.
Sure.
But
Hey, there were 21 other guys that didn't win the championship.
Yeah.
How about that? It's probably more than that.
But no, I'm really
not counting the guys that didn't make the night show or whatever.
I'm really proud of, what we were able to accomplish, the challenges that we had going with it. I mean, taking on this, it was like a blank sheet of paper. I mean, I only had one requirement in the beginning, and that was the facility had to be within a 2-hour radius of the corporate office, which was here in Atlanta, which northern Georgia, there's two things you got to have. You got to have good dirt, and you got to have good weather, and can't go north of Atlanta because it gets too cold. And I'm finding that out. I spent all day prepping my camper for 15 degrees.
Oh,
well, it's going to be
colder.
it's going to be 15 where I'm at. So
That's a hardcore freeze.
it's a cold one, and but those are the things that I enjoyed. I mean, when we first got the facility and everything, I mean, there wasn't even a light on the place, and I enjoyed it.
Yes.
When the sun went down, the lights were out and
Stars.
were out.
I mean,
and
coming
all
from
that good
California,
stuff.
that is a big change. Things slow down.
Well, I didn't technically. I grew up
Texas
in
first,
Texas.
right.
Yes, do have and spent some time in California and have a house out there that be for sale now. But anybody's interested.
Anybody
it's in
shopping
Huntington
in
Beach.
the Huntington Beach area?
Oh, yeah. It's a lovely part of the California.
Well, the weather only changes about 15 degrees plus or minus all year round, so it's not a bad place.
And the average is like flawless, right?
Yeah.
It's always beautiful.
Well, it's not cold.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But no, we had our challenges, and building the facility.
Yeah, talk about that. Like you said, you didn't have tools, you didn't have a tractor. I mean, you just roll right into you got to build
Basically
this
an
whole
old
thing.
farm, like in a lot of ways, right?
I mean, everybody knows we acquired
Matt Walker's place.
Yeah, and of course I'd been out of it a couple of years, and no more semis, no more tools, no more nothing, and Triumph hadn't been in racing, so they didn't even have a screwdriver to open the front gate. So when you're starting from scratch, I mean, we're really starting from scratch and got a lot of work to do in a little short time. But laid out, designed the whole facility, laid it out, the race shop, the whole facility, long-term plan, drew up the plans, wore multiple hats. 1 minute I got general contractor hat on, Next minute I'm landscaper. Next minute I'm demo guy. Next minute I'm trying to put
Reshape
together
a triple.
Yeah, but and it's just the educational process going through. I mean, it's you don't really realize what all goes into building a motorcycle from the ground up. And even I didn't even realize it. I learned more over the last 2.5 years. And it's really, the durability side of it. It's not like you take a KTM or a Kawasaki or any of those and you go, okay, I'm going to call CP Pistons and have them make me a piston. And I'll put the piston in it and see if it goes the direction that I want to.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can have a piston, but then you got to go, okay, how's that affect everything else? And how are you going to go through that process and all of that goes with it? So there's a lot of things, being new to that side that I didn't even realize. But you have multiple challenges, trying to build a facility, trying to put together a staff, trying to go racing, trying to
Build a team,
with riders and mechanics and staff and everything. So it's a lot of moving parts at one particular time. But I enjoyed every minute of it. I mean,
How do you think about that process? Like, you have to figure you're talking everything else, and then you still have to find somebody to ride the damn thing.
Yeah.
Which is usually
All that you're worried about.
Yeah, all you're worried about. Right?
Yeah, how did you coax the guys and where were they at in their careers to go, hey, man, trust me,
I think that, obviously with Jalik, he was the very first rider I had when I went to Husqvarna. I mean, hired him signed him as an amateur, which was really a funny story because when I first went there and they said, well, we'd like to have this guy. And I didn't know Jalik at the time, but it was at Loretta's at that time. So I went to Loretta Lynn's. And I didn't let him know I'm coming, and I was there for 2 days before I ever even met with him and his mom. And I watched him, I just watched him from afar. And with Jalik, if he got the whole shot, he was gone. Lights out. But if he went down, he'd throw his goggles, he'd take 2 minutes to get back up and get going. It was like all or nothing. And so when I met with him the first time with him and his mom, I had the contract in my hand. I met them in their trailer, and I said, I sent down here to sign you. I said, but if it was up to me, I'd tear up the contract.
Right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. That's the first thing I told him and his mom. I said, and here's the reason why, because I only have a few requirements. My number one is from when the gate drops till you cross the checker flag, don't care if you fall 30 times. Give me everything you got to the end. I go, you pull the whole shot and you keep it on 2 wheels, you're all out. It goes bad, you're done.
Yeah.
And, that doesn't work for me. And that was my very first meeting with him. But putting together the team, I mean, it's, there's 2 type of riders that you can get. Obviously if you hire Jet, he's fast, he's talented. A lot of the guys are. He's going to be a champion at some point in time. I mean, he has the it factor, whether it's Villapoto, Ricky, any of those guys. I always tried to find the guy that, for whatever reason, somebody else missed. Like a Davey, like a Jason, like a Zach. And with Jalik, I believe, because the one thing you cannot substitute is time. All these riders have great abilities to win races and do that, but not everybody progresses at the same time. And if you can stay healthy and you can keep it on 2 wheels and you can get consistency through it, you can build a champion over time as long as he does what he needs. And I'm sure half my staff and all my riders, I got all these little cliches and things that I say. I go, you don't have to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
But you do have to be perfect when it's time. And
That's a good one, dude.
Write that down, Nick.
Frameable quote.
And that means nobody can be, I always said Dungey and Kennard were about the only 2 riders I've ever known that could be perfect all the time, 24/7. Eat the right thing, do the right thing, say the right thing.
That's impossible too, yeah.
I can't do it, and I don't know many people that could. But And I'd tell Jason the same thing. I'd say, look, when it's time to play, I want you to go burn the candle at both ends. I don't necessarily want to know about it.
When you said burn, I thought you were going a whole different direction.
No. But I mean, they're kids, and I want them to go have fun. I want them to do it, and I tell them, I go, first of all, I hope you never get thrown in jail. But if you do, I hope I'm the first guy you call. I won't judge you. I mean, I've had 2 sons of my own. I've had almost everybody in the industry stay at my house, train at my house, do something at the house. There's no lie you can tell me that I hadn't heard before. And, raising 2 sons, it's kind of like, but, just when it's time to be perfect, it's time to be perfect. And when it's time to play, go play. And with Jalik, it's, when you look at the riders that you have this year, people are going to question why Styles, why Jalik, why Jordan, why Austin. To my fault, I think I can fix them, but it's consistency. It's getting them to understand that, hey, you don't have to win every race. Some people make big steps, but you do have to be consistent. And like I was telling y'all earlier, every rider that's ever sat down in front of me, I go, no one says, hey, I'm a 7th through 10th place guy. Nobody does. It's either
They don't say that.
No. It's I'm a top 5 or I'm a podium guy, and I'm a podium guy. And I ask the guys, I go, can you finish 7th? Can you finish 7th in Supercross? And, of course, no one ever says no. I go, do you know if you finish 7th every round, you'd finished every year in the last 15 years in the top 5? And they go, really? Because a lot of them look at it, and I go, well, if you finish 3rd every round, didn't win a race, you'd be competing for the championship, and there's a couple of years you might even have won it, just finishing 3rd. And I always said a 250 championship is harder to win than a 450, because if you have one bad moto,
you got half the races.
And you take a guy like Austin, or you take a guy like Jordan, or any of them, it doesn't matter who it is. They have one bad race. Now they're trying twice as hard to win, and now they feel like they have to win, and
Crazy things start happening.
And I'm like, look, don't even, if we finish 5th, we finish 5th. If we finish 3rd, we finish 3rd. We'll worry about where we're at when we get to the last 2 or 3 to see what we have to do. It's also looking at the history. What tracks have you done well at? What tracks have you struggled with? All right, let's have different goals and approaches to the ones that you've done really well with versus the ones that you've done really bad with. And that's the part that, it's like even with Jordan. I'm like, Jordan, where do you go down 90% of the time? He's like, the sand. I'm like, in the sand. You're always trying to pass or push really hard through the sand. I go, that's the highest percentage place to go down. I go, at Nashville, I think you passed Jalik 3 times. And then you ended up finishing behind him. And, it's, where'd you go down? You went down the sand. So the tracks that we had built this year, I mean, our practice track has a deep sand corner.
Yeah.
Probably the only track that on a practice side
Replicates
of it that replicates that. But, understanding how to manage a race and how to manage a season is what I think that a lot of riders forget. And there's such a pressure to be on the podium all the time. Nobody remembers whether you finished 5th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd. At the end of the day, if you're the guy standing on top of the box holding the trophy, what does it matter? I mean, Jason won his championship with the fewest amount of wins that there was. I think him and Dungy were the only 2 that had the fewest amount of wins, still won the 450 championship. So,
well, and you said something that kind of made me think about, and I'm going to use another sport, but the Braves just had a Cy Young winner in Chris Sale. Chris Sale was a high draft pick. It was a reclamation project for them. This dude came out and crushed this year. So I don't think you're crazy like those dudes you're talking about. Those are elite talent. Jordan is elite. Styles is elite. Austin is absolutely elite. So I can see the ceiling. I can see where you're going. Oh my God, just calm down. You can win this thing.
Yeah, and you were saying something earlier about when you said that if we finish 5th, we finish 5th. there are places and teams that some of these other guys or some of your guys have been on where that's not okay.
Yeah.
You talked about some of the pressures that
Yeah.
different teams might present versus the way you approach it.
Obviously, if you're a high-paid athlete, I mean, our sport is no different than any other professional sport. You want job security in this sport, we're paid to perform. As long as you perform and you win races, you got a job. When you stop winning, stop performing, you're out of a job. You don't have to worry whether you're getting fired or not. I mean, you're not winning. They're going to find a new head coach, or they're going to find a new quarterback. Or, but it is those that you come with the pressure. The higher the salary, the more pressure there is, and I think that they lose sight of that. What people don't understand, I mean, it doesn't matter which rider it is. You can't tell me that there's not a rider that doesn't have enough pressure or put pressure on himself. And 9 times out of 10, the one person that they want to impress more than any is dad.
Yeah.
You know,
It's crazy.
nine out of 10 times it's like dad. And if Austin had a bad moto or somebody has a bad moto and they come back, they already know they're going to get their ass chewed out. And, you know, it's one of those that I tell all my riders, look, don't worry about the sponsors. Don't worry about the factory. The safest place and the place you should feel most comfortable is underneath this tent. I'll take on all the other shit. And you just focus on you. And I'll love you just as much on your bad days as I will your good days. And because it's a process. And when I was going with Jalik is that this last year he had one of his best years, if not his best years, from his rookie year. But then he has a year of injuries, and then he has another. He doesn't even make it past the first round, has another one. So you go back to 23, he does all the outdoors. Okay, so he's got a full half seat. I go, our goal this year, make every round. And, you know, if you're in the top 5, that's a plus for us. And even so throughout the season, we were going into Philadelphia, and the week before that, and I said, Jalik, you know what the difference is between finishing top 5 and finishing top 3? I said, the problem is, I've told you every week that, hey, top 5, top 5, top 5. That's like if you tell a guy, okay, you get on the podium. Yeah. You're going to have some fourths, some fifths. You might even have a podium. Same thing with top 5 is that if you're racing 5th, you're probably going to get a 6, a 7. You might get a 5th or any of that. I said, stop racing for top 5s because you're finishing 6th and 7th consistently. I go, race to win.
Get a second, get a third.
Get a second, get a third.
Get a win.
That's what I told him. I said, the difference between 5th and 1st is not racing for 5th, but racing for 1st. And we go into Philly. And he's up there. He's in 3rd going into it. And I still say that if it wasn't Tom and Deegan behind them pushing, because those are only 2 that are, you know,
that much different than everybody
well,
else.
no, they're the 2 competing for the championship.
Yeah.
You know, Jalik probably could stay where he's at, but that's where he jumped in the sand, and you know, him and Seth came together. But what a lot of people, you know, you read the chat boards and all that, they're like, "Oh, what a stupid move! What a stupid move!" And I'm like, you have to look back to the triple before that, because Jalik was catching him and he was in the triple. They do the right-hander, they do the double-double, and then he does the left before he's coming into the sand. And Jalik was tripling, and Seth was doubling, and then he was going to the outside line. Jalik broke the rear of the bike loose just a little bit and stabbed his foot just before they're going. You know, he rushed the corner, which he might have lost, you know, a foot or 2.
Yeah.
But he lost a little time there, and then Seth changed his line. But Jalik already knew when he's coming over that triple, he was going to go to pass him there. Yeah. And he ends up going down and, you know, all of that. But, you know, the first thing he said when he came to me, he goes, you told me to race win? I go, hey, bud, today's been the best day of racing you've ever done. You know, you qualified well, you won a heat race. You know, I have no complaints. You did exactly what I asked you about. Will the finish show it? No. But it's just a learning process. And with Jalik, and I've had this conversation with him before, I go, look, I can go out there and I can bang my head against a tree. I can tell you the same thing over and over and over and over again. But until you're ready to do it or believe it, it ain't going to happen. He takes very small, calculated. But with Jalik, having this full season and the season before next year
To build on now.
to build on. There you
Progress
go.
right there.
If you can get 3 years,
A healthy riding.
healthy riding, making everything.
progression.
It's just like with Ferry and them. I mean, with Evan, I only had one requirement for Evan. I had nothing else other than make all the motos.
Yeah.
You're fast enough and you're talented enough to make the main and the Supercross. Don't care what you finish. Do not care. I didn't hire you to win this year. I hired you to win in 27. And all I ask is that you make every moto. You look at Deegan. Deegan's rookie season couldn't have gone better.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what you call a perfect season. You take the futures before they even entered as Supercross.
And he
Everybody's
executed.
like, this, why y'all think this guy's going to do so well? And his confidence and everything just grew and grew and grew. He made all the motos, made all the heats, made all the races. His confidence is building. His speed's increasing. And by the time he gets to the end of it, he wins the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't ask for a better season. And that's, I think a lot of people lose sight of that. And it's just, you have 10 managers, 10 mechanics, 10 of anything. Everybody has a different way. You know, I'm not saying my way's right and your way's wrong. It's just different. And I'll put my results up against anybody else's. And like I said, it doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just at the end, it's all about the end result.
Yeah, but those guys building those 3 years of confidence without injury, I mean, you built that as a team manager, and you have seen riders and their ways from the buzzard's nest or whatever, you know, I'm trying to,
Oh, yeah.
the crow's nest.
Yes.
You've been able to look down and see how, oh man, steer clear of that. Like you really can guide these dudes it's just so hard. I think an athlete wants to perform today. And you're asking
they
them
do.
to build slowly. You're like,
No,
hey,
I'm
man, just
asking them,
get all the
hey, it's
motos.
just-
Make the motos.
With any rookie, I mean, you know, we went through this era where, you know, everybody's signing riders on super mini for 5-year deals, and then it doesn't pan out and they cut them loose.
Yeah.
I remember telling Ziggy and Bobby Reagan, I was like, I'm not hiring any amateurs or rookies anymore. Y'all go through the hardest part.
Yeah.
And then they have their first 2 years of pro and they don't perform, and then you cut them.
Cut them.
You just went through the hardest part of it. I go, if you look at it statistically, over 82.5% of them have their best year, their third or fourth year.
Yep.
I know what you're thinking, Nick.
I know.
Say
I'm
it.
not saying-
Say it.
Say it, Nick.
There's two things. First off, by the time we're 60, our XR250 program is going to be fire. It's
gonna be fire.
Bobby's long range.
So we're already
vision
1
here.
year into this, Bobby.
Yeah, so
One
we're
year into this
it,
XR250
so
program.
by the time we're 60 years old, this program is going to be.
Do you understand how mature a
Fire.
60-year-old XR250 rider would be? I mean,
He's not going
to do any crazy stuff.
We're going
in
to
the
have
sand.
maturity on our side by then for sure.
And these things have kickstands, dude.
That's
Yeah.
your first point.
And then the second point is that 81.5%
Oh, there it is. He's
of
making-
all statistics are made up on the spot.
Boom.
Yeah.
As soon as you said 82.5%, I looked
You
at that.
nailed it. And I think I usually do say 82.5%. I just didn't want to use the same number.
You didn't want to be like, you know,
I
judging
actually
Bob.
think it's a little higher than that, but I know 82 plus is.
Hey,
Hey.
Bobby, I've always said that different people have they reach their ceiling in different ways, whatever. Like, I've been around long enough to watch riders. I'm like, if you're not doing it by the time you're 14, you're not going to do it. And that I have totally pulled off of that. Ryan Dungey cured me of that. That dude was not doing it at 14. He was hovering, but he was not going to be the guy. And he turned out to be the guy. So, I mean, when guys peak and how they peak and when opportunity meets whatever, like, you can speak to that. I'm sure you've seen it.
Well, it's, you know, I tried hiring Austin when he was a rookie coming out, and you know, it was a long shot at best at that time. I mean, he was wanted by all the teams, and obviously we didn't have the budget that Cowie had. But I told him, I said, from a father who has a son that's been in this sport, that's gone all the way through the amateurs, all the way through the pros, is, you know, the only word of advice I give you is don't do it for the money. You know, because whoever you sign with, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, or any of that, I mean, it's either going to be the best 5 years of your life or it's going to be the worst 5 years of your life. And so make sure you surround yourself with the people that you enjoy with, because as we all know in this sport, I mean, we spend 180 to 200 days a year on the road together, and, you know, we're with each other all day, every day. And if you don't like each other, it makes it miserable. And so more importantly was, and I always told my kids, I go, find out what it is that you love to do, and the money will come.
Yeah.
Don't do something just because of the money. I've never done a job in my life for the money. I mean, that was not the purpose. If I didn't like it,
Yeah.
I mean, my family will tell you, if I don't like it, I'll get up and walk out.
Yeah. Well, and you said you'd fire yourself at 5 years if you didn't have a championship by then, or a win, or I can't remember exactly what you said, but that's a pretty big testament. And last week, Mike Pelletier and Christina Denny both said this kind of the same thing. You know, if I feel like I'm watching the clock every day to see when quitting time is, the money won't follow you. You know, but if you're doing what you love and you're passionately pursuing it, the money will come.
You good,
Yeah.
Bobby?
I'll take another
Yeah,
one.
why not?
Let's do it.
Top him off the world's largest shot glass there. It's like 3 of those things.
It's got to be 4 shots in that one. I mean, that thing is tall.
This truth serum, we'll get to the nasty secrets here in a little
Yeah.
while.
We'll just keep digging.
Just
You know
'cause
what?
it's
I'll
a-
tell that son
I
of a...
told the West Texas sons of bitches.
Hey, last
Hey,
week,
just because it's a tall one doesn't mean you have to fill it all the way up.
no, Nick doesn't know. They don't know when to quit. Last week, he poured the fireball out on the bar top here,
And then sucked it
sucked it up with a Bounty paper towel, and then wrung the paper towel out in his mouth.
So weird.
Like, I mean, you
That's
can't.
a Hazel shot.
Oh, Hazel.
Hazel. Is that like the housekeeper?
No, the lady that dipped her hands in the remember the lady that had the thing.
No, Hazel was the
She was the show, right?
the housekeeper.
The TV show, Hazel.
I thought you were talking about the lady the palm olive lady.
Palm
that was
olive.
stick her
No.
hands in the whatever.
You watched Hazel as a kid,
Oh,
I would
yeah.
imagine,
I'm sure.
Bobby,
Oh,
because
yeah.
we did. I mean, I would think so. So, yeah.
So was there a chance of Jason coming over with you, and did he peel off once he realized maybe you're not going to be there? Because that was a question from Troy from Verve. He goes, "Hey man, ask Bobby was Anderson. He had heard rumors where he might
we had
come."
always, Jason and I, you know, to say that there's not a special relationship there is. I mean, I've always had his back. He's always had mine. I mean, I've seen him grow up, you know.
Yeah.
I'd hate to tell you the story on when I tried recruiting him when we're at Loretta's and trying to get him to come sit down with me. But, you know, the funny thing, Jason, you know, as everybody knows, I mean, the manufacturer told me to cut him and I wouldn't cut him. Did I bench him for a while? Yes. But, I mean, there's so many
Are
different...
you the only guy that's ever done that?
That's a great story.
I don't know.
I think they took the front wheel off John Michelle Bell's wheel. I think Dave Arnold removed his front wheel for a day and said, "You're not riding that bike." But
You sat him for a couple of weeks.
You
to get
had
his
a
mind right.
reason.
I mean, it with Jason, it was, look, Jason had all the talent. He'd come out and he might be 10th or 14th, and he'd push his way all the way up to 5th. And then the tongue would hit the front tire, you know, and he'd fall all the way back to 15th.
Yeah.
End up finishing where he was. And as an amateur, Jason never trained. I mean, he just went out in the desert and
talent.
rode. You know, he'd show up at a national and win and go back and play ride. And Mike, his dad, God, that man is a saint. That is the best rider parent in the world.
You would never know that guy exists.
No.
He's super laid back,
No,
super chill.
Mike
big
is,
old dude.
You know, Mike and Jason's whole family, his grandmother, grandfather, and everybody. I mean, they are just great people. And but Jason will be the first to tell you, you know, he doesn't like riding a bicycle. He doesn't like going to the gym. I mean, and
Yeah, do you ever see any video of him in the gym? Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a video of him on
no, but what a lot of people don't know when, you know, after this, and if you look at Jason now, you know, there'd be times when I'm more worried about him overtraining. Now he has this perception, you know, in the public. You have your public figure, but
Yeah,
then
I
you
get
got who you are as an individual. And Jason trains just as hard, if not harder, than a
Obviously.
lot of people. He likes to play too. I mean, and that's just full circle on.
I know,
look,
man.
when
That's
it-
crazy. I don't know how he does that.
But no, I mean, at that point in time, it was like, look, they're just certain things that you're going to have to do if you're going to be in. And it really, a lot of it was with him, because I can remember after 1 year, he's like, I think he finished 3rd or 4th overall in the season. And I mean, he's balling. He's in the semi after the last race, and he is just balling. He's like, if this is all I'm ever going to be, or this is the best I'm going to be, I won't do it.
Wow. That's cool to see.
Pretty awesome.
I mean, it's actually inspiring for you. You're like,
but
all right,
what's different about Jason is Jason doesn't. He probably cares more about the money today than he did then, because he'd race just as hard for $100 as he would 100,000. I mean, just a very unique, and he's super intelligent. He's got this public figure, that people think, but it's not accurate. I mean, on a lot of levels, but there was, he needed to realize that, hey, it's gut check. Either you say you want to be number one, well then, here's what you got to do to be number one. There's no shortcuts. If you're not happy with 3rd, then stay at home. But go home, and when you come back, if you're in, you're all in, and if you're not, no hard feelings. And ever since then, we never had a problem.
Yeah, he proved he was all in.
Yeah, but everybody was telling me to cut him. It was the same way with Zach. I remember having a meeting about Zach, and they're like, we need to let Zach go. And I'm like, no, I'm not letting Zach go.
Yeah, how do those meetings go? Like,
not
you
well.
stand up like, not going to happen. Not well.
Well,
Not well, is that what he said?
Yeah.
It depends, at different times throughout the last, I've been doing this 25, 26 years now, and, sometimes I have full control, sometimes I have partial control, sometimes I have no control. Fortunately, at that time, I had full control when it came to riders' contracts and things like that. And I can remember having.
Did you ever have to put your name on the line and go, look, not necessarily go, hey, I will quit if whatever, but like.
I've done that before.
All right.
Multiple times. And, it's. Anybody knows me, my character, my principles, those types of things are very important to me. And it's just right or wrong. I mean, I have a hard time compromising, I guess I should say.
Well, if you're trying to be the best, I mean, the people that are the best at everything are that way. And
Same way.
It's very, very good phrase earlier was, I'm a good guy, not a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've told people that. I never said I was a nice guy. I always said I was a good guy. And when I'm upset, I'm not very nice. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, I get upset, I get pissed. I mean, everybody knows that I'm pissed. But
that's fair, though. You demand a certain level, right? And
well, it's just
we're just trying to get.
Yeah,
to
but
that
we've gotten
one.
so soft. Like people freaking out. They just can't handle somebody yelling.
it's definitely different now.
It's not a big deal.
It's in my mind, I'm the old guy. Yes, I still think that. Hey, at the end of the day, we race motorcycles on dirt.
Yeah, I mean, there's
very
there's
simple when you
There's a
look
lot
at
of growing up in the car business. I can tell you 25 years ago or 20 years ago when I first got started to go around these dealerships like you're talking about, there were some guys that were good guys. They weren't nice guys, and they expected performance. And I like, it was nothing to go see a fist fight in the tower of a store. Now it's all corporate. Nobody get. Yeah. But I mean, these guys were hustling. They're making their money, and they get pissed, and they get, you know what I mean? Like they expect everybody to work hard, like what you're talking about. You expect people should be working hard, and if you don't, you should be able to get pissed.
Yeah, you're pretty driven, Bobby. I mean, it's like if you in dealing with someone who may not be on the same page or as driven, that's hard on you.
But you're only wanting the best for them. Yeah. Like you're not wanting, like you're not
yelling at them because you
think
you're
trying to hurt them, or you're trying to do something detrimental to the career.
Yes.
You're trying to improve them.
Usually, when I'm upset, I've either asked for the same thing 3 or 4 times, or you're focused on something other than your job. Especially today with all the social media and everything that goes on, it's like I said, if you tell me I got a guy that works for me and he's got a drinking problem, my first question is does he show up to work on time? Yes. Does he do his job perfectly? Yes. Is it a distraction? No. then I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
That's his business.
It's his business. It's
That's
his
what I try to
personal
tell my
life,
chief
and
at the fire department. I'm like, dude, do I do my job? Like,
What's a
up?
couple of shots of Fireball in the
but
middle of a call?
what-
It is
what
a
I'm
fire
saying is-
station.
Fireball?
Today, people are more focused on what does it matter?
Just get the job done.
I don't care what you do after 5. It's like I said before. If that same guy goes out the front gate and falls down drunk and sleeps in the ditch the next day, as long as he wakes up and he's showered and he's clean, and he walks back through that gate sober, and
Yep.
Nothing you
all
can do
that.
about those nighttime hours, man.
What he does on his time is his time, and that's just like with the riders. When it's time to play, I want you to play. I don't necessarily want to know about it because we all got our personal lives, and our personal lives are just that. They're personal.
Yeah.
Well, we do that here. I mean, we could care less that John dresses up in some kind of bear suit or something.
I don't care. That's your deal, dude.
Hey, you
Like
remember
this,
when I took that 80-pound Mexican dude down to Portrait Innovations, and we dressed him all up.
This is
and
a true story.
we had
John
like
had a
family
mask.
portraits made with this dude was 4'8" or 4'9", and he wanted to fight every day, man. He had a mullet, and he weighed 85 pounds, and he was nonstop wanting to fight people. Well, he drank 24 to 27 beers a night. But that dude was on time, and he worked his tail off.
Yeah.
He didn't care how many hours we worked. But eventually, it's like that's not sustainable. But for the time that he worked for me, I didn't have one thing to say.
Yeah.
Hey, let me tell you something about that. That guy with the
24
mullet.
beers, the beer to height
He's probably
ratio.
never seen these pictures of him.
No,
Oscar.
I haven't seen him.
His name was Oscar.
But let me tell you,
He took him to a picture company and had
Like-
portraits like he was his
Holy
child
Mills or something.
sitting in his lap. Like, seriously.
Reading books with it. And stuff.
That is so awesome.
I would love to have the expendable income.
I have
Look,
all the pictures.
He went.
Hey.
Listen,
It was
let me tell you-
$110.
I know, but like he told all of his employees, he goes, "Look, here's the address of this job we've got tomorrow." So all 200 employees are like, "We're all going to the same place." They did not understand. He rented out a jumping Jimmy, one of those blow up fun houses.
Inflatable jumpy
It's all
places.
indoors, and 200 his little Hispanic workers had the greatest day
And
of their
some
life.
of them were like mad. They're like, "No," and I said, "Look, dude.
How much does that cost you?
Normally
10
we're
grand to do
shoveling in
this?
like knee deep mud. Why
Go
don't we
jump in the
not
jump
shovel?
houses.
Let's go jump." And once they let go of
I
their,
would pay so much money to just see
It was
all
the
them
funniest.
dudes jumping around.
But
Dude, I tried to take all my people whitewater rafting, and nobody would go. They were all scared shitless.
You gotta
They
lie to 'em.
They watched the video and they're like,
Deliverance.
No,
We're
doing it.
not doing that. But what I was going to say about your 80-pound guy with a mullet wanting to fight everybody, I would rather fight somebody my size than him.
He's got
he has-
nothing to lose, man.
Yeah, because he's
got a lot of
fighting.
years.
He's
crafty.
so, yeah, he just wants to fight, win, lose, or draw.
Bobby, when's the last time you've been in a fist fight? Like
let's see.
straight up a hook and just letting it rip.
Actually, not that long ago.
Oh, Jesus, that's awesome.
Nick, does he got you beat? When's the last time you've been in a fight?
7 years.
Mine's probably, let's see.
My answer is always 7 years.
Well, what is it then, asshole?
It's always 7 because 7 years is the statute of limitations. On that,
There you go, Bobby.
Okay,
Salt.
mine's 7.5 years ago.
Exactly.
There you go.
7.5
I was
years.
about to
For
say
me
a
and
year,
Kevin,
but
it's-
now I'm going to
it's
say
elementary
7.5.
school.
statute of limitations on assault.
But Bobby is like,
seven.
he's like, so I'm thinking it's maybe a little bit sooner.
It may, hey,
It might have been.
Maybe.
Yeah.
hypothetically, it may have been a little less than that, but
Kevin.
we're going to go with 7.5 years,
I'm gonna
Bobby.
go 7.5.
7 years, 3
My
months.
2 fights were within a 6-month span. I'm 1-1.
What grade?
7th grade. I beat the hell out of a guy on a bus because that dude would not stop messing with me. I just said, if you hit me again or whatever it is you're doing, it's over. And I went full blind rage. Pop, pop, pop.
Windmills.
How many ever times? And I just sat back down. I was like, damn, that worked. And then the next time, not two weeks later, maybe a month, I was talking junk playing basketball. And this guy pulled my shirt over my head, hockey style. Like none of them ever landed, but I'm like,
That's
I
what I
can't
do
do
to my
anything
wife.
with this. Like I got nothing for brilliant move, but he handled me. So that
Yeah,
was
but
it.
I'm older than all of y'all, obviously.
Not much. We're in
You'd
our
be
50s.
surprised. We're pretty close.
We're in our 50s. Nick's 55.
I'll be 55 Monday.
55.
Oh, wow.
That's right. Yeah, we're not too far behind. You're like 10 years older than me. 62. I'm 52.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So, yeah.
But I was having this conversation the other day. I was like, the only difference, as a kid growing up, I mean, we fought all the time.
Yeah,
I
For
mean,
sure.
It was almost
way more common.
I mean, it was like let's go to the bathroom. Let's go outside. Even as a young adult,
And get it straightened out. Let's figure this out.
You didn't
there
have
was
to
less
work.
drama. You become friends with these people.
Oh yeah, I
afterwards.
can remember some of my best friends started out with knockdown dragouts.
Beat the
but
hell out
it
of
was,
each other.
You know, you never had to worry about somebody pulling out a knife or a gun or any of that.
Yeah,
It was just fist fights. And you know, my dad's as old school gets. I mean,
Your dad's still with you?
yeah,
How old is he?
80. He'll be 84 this year.
See, that's how old my parents are. I was a total accident.
Nick, you, how old's your dad?
My dad's going to be 87 in February.
Excellent.
Just thought about that today. I was
Yeah.
like,
Let's see, that'll be
1938.
They live in Texas.
yes, he
Dad
does.
lives in
Yeah.
Texas. Yeah.
Hell yeah. He ain't going
West
to
Texas?
California. He ain't.
No, he's.
He ain't moving to California.
No,
West
I mean,
Texas,
Dad's those. He'd tell me. I can remember being in high school and coming home, and back then you had a paper route, you had all that shit you do. And Dad's rule was like, look, first of all, if you think there's going to be a fight, you make sure you throw the first punch.
Jesus, my dad would say, "Don't throw the first punch, but you throw the last one. That dude
Yeah.
better be dead by the time you get
He'd
done."
the
also
first
say that, look, if he's bigger than you, pick something up and hit him with it.
Dude, let me tell you the exact.
Did your dad and him go to the school of parenting?
That is the exact advice I got.
Yeah.
If you think there's going to be a fight, hit him.
Oh.
Right? If you really think there's going to be a fight, hit him. If you don't think you can whip him, get something you can whip them with.
Yeah.
That's
That was
exactly
basically it.
That's exactly what Billy Lyles on our show. This guy was coming at him. He goes, Billy, grab that tire iron right there. And if you don't hit him, I will. Like he said, you better hit that guy right now.
Mr. Lyles was telling Billy to hit him.
Yes, to hit him.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember coming home just bawling my ass off. I was crying. I got into a fight. And he's like, get in the truck.
We're going to finish this. Oh, no, round two.
Round two. And we went back to the playground.
But all that taught you was to handle the business right. the
Leave it
first
right
time.
there.
Handle it right
in an
now.
honorable
Get
way.
it over with.
Yeah,
somewhere.
handle it now.
He's
Be
like-
done. And you really applied that to everything you do.
Well, it ended up staying with, sometimes you got to hit the bully in the mouth.
Yep.
yeah.
So,
You know.
They're not
yeah.
as tough as they act like. That's
My
why
last
they're
fight
acting
was
like that.
7 years, 3 months, and it was the same time for the last time I robbed a bank.
7 years, 3 months.
That's a
Are
statute.
you sure the statute's the same for bank
I think
robberies?
that's a little different. Murder's different, Nick.
Murder,
so be
yeah,
careful
don't
with
be
that.
talking about that.
No, murder has no statute.
I know. That's what I'm
It
saying.
doesn't.
And I
How
will
can-
never talk about that.
Yes.
Him and Barry Higgins murdered a guy in
How
87.
can murder be less than the IRS? I mean, the IRS
know.
is 10 years. It's got to be at least 10.
Well, murder, no, there is nothing for murder, and there's no longer anything for sexual assault.
I've got to
He
buy
studied all the laws. Like, what's
Nick's
wrong
just
with
got a
you?
lot of stories
I
to tell. We're
passed
just
the-
not ready to tell them yet.
I passed the bar. I just don't like courtrooms.
Yeah. It's not cool up there. Bunch
No,
of
but,
stuffy people.
But no, when you're
Bunch
talking
of
about
criminals.
contracts and things like that, it's, they told me to get rid of Jason, signed him to a 4-year deal, even when they told me to get rid of Zach and all them.
Hey, we told
Back
you to get
then,
rid of him.
Yeah, but you actually, they delivered both those guys.
Yeah, but I mean, even with Zach, because the argument with Zach was he's a great second or third place guy, but he didn't think he can win. I'm like, I think he can win, and that one was not pretty. I went downstairs and signed him and Martin Davalos to a 2-year extension. Luckily, Zach did very well, and Marty. I wanted to win a championship with Marty so bad.
He was lights out fast.
God, he was fast in those heat races.
God, he was fast.
And I swear to God, if we wouldn't have had the whole debacle with going to Canada and everything,
Yeah, he
because
got
when he
stuck.
lost,
He got hung
yeah,
up.
he
in-
was right
He
up
got hung
front.
up.
he was leading the
Yes,
championship
he was
then.
right there.
He got
man.
hung up in Canada.
Well, he couldn't go
Right.
because
Yes,
of
he
his
couldn't.
passport.
You're right.
So
That's what I meant.
if he went, there was a chance he might not be able to get back in the state. So
That's true.
He
Dude.
didn't go.
Sometimes, like watching
go.
him, he would be so freaking fast. Like I'm not they're playing this.
but I
straight.
mean,
He was-
that year,
I remember watching him through rhythm sections.
Oh, he
going,
was incredible.
Yeah.
Like next level speed.
And he's leading the championship and everything. And then with Marty, anybody that knows Marty, once he wasn't able to go to Canada, now he's a full race down. And so now he's pushing it and pushing it. And
Gonna
pushing
go
it.
even
And-
harder.
Yeah. And what
Dude,
ends up
I
happening-
swear someone was sitting out with a gun. Like every time he was leading anything.
Oh, they're just
like,
picking him off.
He would just crash.
Oh, he had crazy things
he had
happen.
crazy, tons of crashes.
But that's
in heat races.
That's the thing is, whether it's Austin or Jordan or Styles and them, it's like well, 2-3 weeks ago anyway, when I'm talking to Styles.
Yeah.
And Styles is, if you know Styles, I mean, he's always smiling. He's such a good kid. And he's got a great personality, outgoing, just a lot of fun to be around. And he's all quiet, and he's in his head, and he's in his head. And I'm like, I pull him to the side, and I'm like, stop looking at the damn stopwatch. I don't, I mean, because he's, you know, he's just coming back and everything. And he's like, oh, I'm 2 seconds off. Oh, I'm a second off. I go, I don't give a shit how fast you are today. I go, you know what I give a shit about? I go, you clip every landing.
Yeah.
Just a little
Quit
bit.
clipping them.
Clip, clip, clip. It upsets the bike. It takes a fraction of a second off. For the next 4 weeks, I don't care if you have slow down, go fast. I want you to be smooth. I've always said, Supercross like a ballet, fine dance, outdoors like a boxing match. Toughest guy wins. Stop clipping. I go, now, if you stop clipping and you're smoother and through your transactions, the speed will come, but it's got to be natural when you're under pressure and
Start
things like that.
forcing
Yeah,
it.
I said, and that is one thing about Austin. Austin is smooth.
And
He
lightning
very-
quick.
Yeah. But I said, now, if you're still clipping those in 4 weeks, I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about, nobody's giving out a trophy today. I don't care how fast you are today. I care that you keep clipping everything. Stop clipping everything. Let's fix that first.
Did you look at that when Austin's crashed? Because I was watching it with my wife. I'm like, I was like, I told her 2 laps before, I said, something's going on in that turn before this double or whatever. Yeah. And like, if you go back to like 3 laps in a row, he's a little shaky. Like, have y'all revisited that or?
No, I mean,
it was
Austin
going his way. Like he was going to win that race.
Austin and I had a lot of long conversations prior to, it was most importantly before I signed and everything, I wanted him and his wife to come and sit down with me face to face. Outside looking in, there's drama here, there's drama there, there's that, and I just wanted to make it very clear that, hey, look, we win as a team and we lose as a team. There are no islands. Yeah. Everybody gets the same stuff. I do not care how you want to set up your bike. I do not. I tell every rider this. You want pink handlebars? I'll give you pink handlebars, whatever makes you. I want that bike to be an extension of you. There's nothing we can't test. I don't care if everybody else is running something else and you want to run different linkage or bars or I don't care. All I care about is that bike feels like it's an extension from you and you feel like you can win on it. I don't know 2 riders that ride exactly the same, why would you try to force everybody to be in the same package? Yeah. Me, I'm a front guy. My front end stick and has control. I'm fine. My ass end can bounce around all over the place. Davey's that way. Davey Millsap, front end guy. Filippo steered the bike with the rear.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, 2 different riding styles. I don't know 2 people that act the same, believe the same, ride the same, so why would you force them to be it?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any bad test, whether you agree with it or not. So first letting him know that do not care. We'll try everything you want to try and we'll set it up. But at the end of the day, and that's the same thing with Davey, because Coy, when he was at Yamaha said, oh, don't hire Davey. And then, Cowie's like, oh, don't hire Davey. And I'm like, Davey can win.
He's fast, man.
He led that championship for a good chunk of that year, dude.
11 out of the 17 rounds we led it. I mean, 2013 was
amazing.
A blast. I mean,
he was always up front.
We used to do this chant before each race in 2000. You've seen the movie Rudy. We're the underdog. We'd be there, Rudy. And I always had Friday's facts or Friday's quotes and stuff like that. But it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. But
and your budget was like
0.
Yeah, he gave us a number.
No. But I mean, thankfully, Rockstar.
Stepped up.
Mike and them, they stepped up, and I'm like, if you'll back me, I'll bring you a championship. And then the next year, we won with Jason on the. I didn't want KTM. Selfishly, I didn't want KTM or Husqvarna to win championships this last year because I won the last.
Right.
Not I, but the team and everything won the last KTM 250
You were
championship.
holding that one.
I was holding those 2. So,
But hey, you mentioned those your your favorite races, and Millsaps was one of those.
Yeah, A1 2013, him and Kennard, Davies leading it, Kennard gets him, and then he passes him on the last lap. I get goosebumps every time
Heck
I
yeah.
watch that one.
That has to be cool. Like, I think your kid rode with those guys anyway, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're from that era, so you got to watch them.
I
all
mean,
year.
there is at one point in time, I think every rider in the 250 class and 450 class, with the exception of Reed.
Stewie, maybe.
No, Stu, I knew him and Wyndham, possibly. Ferry was still around a little bit. Villeman was still around. But at one point in time, everyone in the 250 class either lived at my house, stayed at my house, trained at my house.
So wow.
That's cool.
And I knew their parents, I knew their brothers, their sisters. I mean, everyone, because Hunter went all the way through it. And I tell everybody, that is the one thing from a manager standpoint that I think separates me. I'm not Roger DeCoster. I'm not Ricky Carmichael. None of those. But I am the only team manager in the pits that has gone from the amateur all the way through the pro with their son. So when I'm talking to a rookie's parents, or I'm talking to,
You can absolutely identify with the struggles.
People don't understand the stress that they're under or the things that they go through. And it's like with styles and stuff, and sometimes the hardest job is, as a parent, you're the one that's guiding them through it and all that. And then they go pro, and then you're asked to step away.
Yep.
There were a couple of parents I had to block from the pit area because I'd spend all week getting this rider right where I needed him, and then
Dad gets in their head.
5 seconds with Dad, and man, they're crushed.
Revert back.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I
But,
think Mike LaRocco's dad was like the first dad that finally had to go, all right, you got to peel off a little bit.
yeah.
So
And it's tough. I mean, but being a father myself, going through all of that, understanding and really putting realistic goals, because at the end of the day, I've told everybody, look, I'm never going to be in the Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Don't even care if I am. Do not care. The only thing I ever really care about is when I am dead and gone, is that everybody that ever worked for me or rode for me said, you know what? He surrounded me with everything I needed to be the best I could be. Whether that's a third place guy, fifth place guy, a champion, I can live with that. And that would give me all the satisfaction. And, nobody's got to say anything, but just knowing that everybody that you might not agree with me, because it's like I tell my staff, look, if you're a mechanic, you look at it from a mechanic's view. If you're a truck driver, rider, trainer, manager, doesn't matter. You look at it from that view. Every decision I ever made is like, okay, understand that, respect it from that view, but what's best for the program as a whole?
Yeah, you're like steering. You're steering
Well,
the
I'm
ship.
always looking 2 or 3 years down the road, because if you're just focused on the day, you're already too late. You got to be laying the groundwork and everything for 2 or 3 years from now. And you don't have to agree with it 100%. You might agree with 60% of it and think 40% of it is stupid. I respect that. I also respect that you'll support it 100% though, even though you don't agree with it, because that's what's best for the program. And if you can ever get a group of guys together that have that mentality and you're all pulling the rope, saying it's okay to disagree, but ultimately at the end of the day, somebody's got to guide the ship.
Yeah.
And you can't have 6 guys guiding the ship, because you're never going to get 6 people to agree on it. Hell, you can't get 2 people to agree on shit. So
That's the truth.
And like I said, my way, I'm not saying my way is the right way or the wrong way. It's just different. And
So you have no regrets at Triumph.
None.
You're happy with
none. I mean, if I had anything to do over again, I would start at the press conference at A1 when they said you're principal and Scuba was team manager, which, Scuba and I have been together for 17 years. I was team manager, he was crew chief and assistant team manager, and we knew our lanes and we knew our roles, and that kind of made things complicated, but I felt like we could manage it. But this one was a little different from the standpoint that there's so many different hats you're wearing at one time, and to stay focused on, and hell, the guys thought when you heard Steve Mathis going, Bobby's not the same guy that Bobby used to be. Well, no shit. I got 900 different things going on at the same time, and I might ask you the same question twice.
Yeah.
But
yeah, most team managers aren't building a facility and
a bike and a team and a 450
and a bike.
Yeah, so
And a
I get
team.
it.
Take care of the landscaping.
And taking care of the grounds
And
it's
fighting people
dude. There's no
regularly.
doubt. You might have been, the hardest. This might be the hardest job you've ever taken. Right?
well, it's the most I've ever taken on, and it's. If I'm guilty of anything, I'm guilty of ever asking for help.
You're guilty of asking for help or
Yeah,
not asking.
For not asking for
Yeah,
help.
that's my problem too.
I'll handle it. I'll handle it. And, you finally get to a point. And I remember having a meeting with Rod. I think we were at Dallas. I was like, Bud, I'm drowning.
Yeah.
I got to have some help. Because initially I wanted to ensure that Scuba had the staff that, we had the mechanics, we had the people that we need for the mechanical side of it.
For sure.
But then you have the whole administrative organization,
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I'm not the best bookkeeper, and I'm not but I have no regrets. I have nothing bad to say about Triumph as a corporation. They're a great corporation. It's a great bike. 450 is a great bike.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the fact that.
Well, and you got it there. You got it to this point.
Well, there's a lot of them, but the bad thing about being the guy at the top is you're the good guy, but you're also the bad guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, and anybody that knows me, it's like I have a hard time taking no for an answer, or I focus on what's got to get done, not necessarily how we get there. But Detroit's going to come at a certain time. We got photo shoots that got to be done. This is there's a timeline, and those things have to be done. And
I think you've always sat at the tip of the spear. I mean, this isn't new for you. You've always been in the hot seat for even business wise before Moto. You've always had the seat where things have to get done. And we might have to deviate for a short period from the process just so we can get this deadline met. But that's what makes you as good as as successful as you've been. You always are focused on the goal.
Yes, to my fault. I mean, and it gets me in trouble. And I mean, I can live with that.
Yeah,
Hey,
but as long as you're good with it.
I agree with
Like,
that.
Yeah.
I feel him right there.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, everybody's done some things where you're like, well, I got where I was going. Everybody's not going to be happy, but I got where I was going.
And truthfully, you didn't really I don't hear you saying, man, I took a million missteps. Like when you sit there and you go, yeah, I got one regret really. And that's pretty dang good.
Right.
For a 3 year, basically it was just 3 years, 2 years?
Yeah, 2.5.
Two and a half.
But it's, but I poured everything into it, and I get it. Not even on this podcast, half the people are going to go, oh, he's so full of shit and all this other crap. But you know what? I'm not going to apologize for how I spoke to someone. I'm not going to apologize for how I did stuff. I mean, whether it was with Triumph or Husqvarna or with Suzuki or, I don't have any regrets. I mean, if I had to do it all over again, I might not have put as much of my own goddamn money in it, but that I regret. I wish I had that back right now, being unemployed. But those
kind of things, they've sort of proved what your heart was in it, man.
Yeah.
When you're willing to risk your stuff too, that just tells me you believed in what you were doing wholeheartedly.
It's like, I'll never forget. I asked Roger DeCosta one time. I was like, Roger, do you want me here? You want me here as a team manager? And he goes, Bobby, you'll be here as long as I want you to be here. The day I don't want you to be here, you will not be here anymore.
Ooh, that's kind of hard to hear.
Harsh.
And that was
Harsh.
true.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, but I would rather hear that than like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? I would rather hear you tell me straight up.
Yeah.
Black and white. I can take that. Black and white's the world I love living in.
Well, I only live in black and white, and that's the problem. And when I'm upset, I'm upset.
Yeah.
And, if I got to be the bad guy, but, you can only control what you control, and
Yeah.
I can't always, not all decisions are mine. I can agree to something, but then at the end of the day, it's not my facility, it's not my
Yeah.
team. It's although, and that's probably a huge fault on my side is that I treat it as my own.
Yeah.
Nobody. I can remember the funniest thing was when I was first with Triumph. I mean, the first thing that they got upset about, someone over in the UK was like, "We're spending this $500 a month for cleaning the pool, taking care of. There's a pool on the facility,
Oh.
and so hired a pool company. Last thing I want to do is have to take care of a pool.
Hell yeah, we're not taking care of no freaking pool.
Roger's not taking care of a pool.
Yes.
It was like
I got the
hey,
leaves skimmered. Everything's clean.
hey,
We are good.
this is an issue. This is a problem. I was like, okay, I'll cancel it and I'll clean the pool myself. So for 2.5
But the pool
years,
still has to be clean.
So for 2.5 years, what?
I cleaned it.
God dang, Bob. Yeah, you shouldn't have had to do that.
No. For the first year and a half, I mean, instead of hiring somebody to mow the grass, I mowed the grass.
Yeah, you spent some time on a zero turn.
But yeah, a lot. At the end of the day, when everybody went home, I got on the zero turn of the tractor and mowed, and
Were you over 100 hours a week?
easily.
I mean, I'm thinking like, way over.
But it never, mowing the grass is not like it's.
That's therapeutic. I can
It's
put my headphones
therapeutic,
on.
you
It
know,
is
it's
until
like-
it's August. In August, it's more sweat.
Then it's skin cancer.
but
yes.
but it's one of those things. It's got to get done. I mean, you got. To my fault, I look at everything like this. Okay. It's like hooking up machinery. We got hundreds of thousands of dollars of machinery. I mean, hundreds of thousands.
Seriously.
It's going to cost X to hook it up. Okay. You either hook it up and you use it, or you don't hook it up and you got an expensive coat rack.
Yes.
I mean, not hooking it up is not an option.
No.
Yeah.
So-
There's expenses that come with playing in the big game, right? I mean,
Yeah.
those little expenses aren't the.
What else did you do besides pool cleaning, like that Roger or Lars or whoever?
Demo work, framing, sheetrocking, painting.
Which he's
I know
knowledgeable in these
I know
fields.
you come from that construction.
Yeah,
side
the
of
construction background. I mean,
tile.
but it doesn't mean you
overseeing
wanted
all
to
the
do it.
Like nobody else is
contractors.
doing that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
But
you're-
he came from the ground. The thing was dirt.
But if it
and
ain't
he-
gonna get done, you're like, I'm not gonna like our little race. You and I figured like it's got to get done.
Yeah, the
one
only
of
way
us
to
is
do
gonna
it.
do it.
I mean, the
y'all
whole
digging on me
facility.
again?
No,
No, we
What
were
the fuck? Like,
we were
this
complimenting
bullshit,
Bobby
like-
Downs. We tried to. We should have hooked Bobby Hewitt up
With Bobby
Bobby
Downs.
Downs, and he would have had a full time.
You don't know the
labor.
story.
I'm getting sick of this shit. I'll go ahead and tell you.
I mean, there's the whole design and layout of the building, and you're in the building business. I mean, general contractor, you're overseeing framers, you're overseeing plumbers, sheetrock, everything. They're like, "Where's the plans?" I'm like, "Right here."
And then all these clowns say they're coming. They say they're.
Oh, and they don't.
And
show
then they
up.
don't-
And
no
you
call,
also
no
got to
show.
remember, I'm in Cologne, Georgia, population 200.
Yeah, where are you getting
know.
these
that's some elite,
subcontractors
you got
from?
some elite subcontractors. There
No, there's
now,
not
sir.
any
There's
I know.
no
There's not.
subcontractors there.
So do
And
they come from Macon
or
they come-
Tallahassee or
They come from all over
Birmingham.
the place, but it's it's like you hire one painter and
But you're
he's
not
shit.
from Georgia. How the
No.
hell are you finding these contractors?
That's the tough. It's
Town
like
Square.
if I was in Texas, I mean, I could
Yeah, you'd have
tell
been
you
like-
exactly who to use, what to use,
Yeah.
what it costs. I mean, there are some things here in Georgia. I'm like, really, it's that cheap? And then some
is
things
cheap.
I'm like,
Why is it so
holy
much?
shit!
Yeah.
I'd never pay that much for paint. But it's just it's different, and you start out with one contractor, and this,
Yeah.
Hey,
Till they let you down.
till they let you down, they don't show up, they do a shitty job, you fire them, you hire somebody else. You may go through 2 or 3 before you get
See,
the
if
right
it'd been
one.
40 years
that you
ago, the
love.
good old days, you'd been down in Culloden, Georgia, and you had the old
Here it
Dixie Mafia
comes.
thing.
Here it comes.
And you'd been able to
The Dixie Mafia.
You'd had to use certain contractors and certain
Oh
painters.
yeah, it'd
and
be like
some-
the mafia.
somebody's brother-in-law.
Just-
It's like a
Yeah.
union, but it's a mafia.
And then when you got it done,
busted
But,
kneecaps.
and there's at times there's decisions that have to be made right then, and the process of getting those done is
Yeah.
it's not feasible, and you make the
Well,
decision.
because you might be
and-
pouring concrete tomorrow, So we need to make this decision.
I
now.
did not tell you about that, but that is one.
That's a problem. That was one of the issues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just know.
But it's just-
I just
yeah.
know when the concrete's freaking coming, you make whatever decision it takes to make that happen, right?
Yeah, especially when they're pouring and standing there.
They're
so,
standing
Yeah.
there. It's pouring no matter what. You better have some
Yeah,
forms
you
here,
better have a
son.
place to
Yeah,
put it.
we're
Otherwise, you're
putting
going to have
this
a bunch of
here.
shit to haul off.
Whether it's anything to keep it here or not.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's also about having a construction background and things like that. I mean, there's volume equals discount. You know, the more concrete you pour at one time,
Yeah.
less per
Little bit
square
better
foot.
deal,
Yeah,
right?
And if you're gonna have to have it, you
And in
get
the
it.
building world, cost per square foot
Foot
is
is
about everything.
Hey, let me ask you. You build here. What's the average cost? Just a basic home per square foot.
Well, so like this house, I spent $84 a square foot.
Oh, Lord.
Now this
Wow.
is 20 years ago.
I was going to
It's
say,
two
this
seventy five,
house-
300 now. Probably.
Yeah, I spent $250 on the house I finished.
And that
in
ain't that
$250 a square foot.
and that's less than what I spent because I'm at like 275 now.
Are you really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in 21, I finished the other house I called you today or whatever.
Yeah.
I was
I was
at that-
just behind you doing mine. We were talking
so,
while I was
so
doing
I ended
it.
up $250 a foot, and I was so mad because this one was 84. This is my last experience.
if I told you $45 square foot, all areas, if you just got enclosed areas, 66 square foot, you'd be patting me on my back.
Yeah, I'd be
going,
so
"You-
thankful for you, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That the numbers we hit?
Yeah,
Well, that's freaking great. Those are good numbers.
those are great.
Those are
outrageous
unachievable numbers.
Those
Like
are
I didn't-
1994
Yeah,
numbers.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't get this in
I'm guessing
04.
from the look on your face, you didn't get a pat in the back for that.
You should have. You saved
That's
that
cheap as shit,
hundreds
man.
of thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
Doing a
hey,
lot
Hey,
yourself.
and everything looks amazing down there. Like
right.
it's. Well, I didn't get to go through the full tour or anything, but from the outside, it's beautiful.
No, from the outside looking in, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful,
badass.
man. It's,
Yeah.
it's awesome,
Wait,
and it's
what-
probably the most unique looking of
Well,
all any
that-
factory team.
On the entryway, you've got the knotted pine that's
Yeah.
tug and groove that's stained. And then when you come in, you know why I put that there? Because it was less than having sheetrock put there and tape bed texture and paint. I
Oh,
could
it's
do
And
that.
it
gorgeous,
looks
too.
killer, right?
Yeah. It looks really good coming. It just adds a little character to it. It's it's not
sure.
officially a Triumph.
Just think about all the other team managers when they're thinking like, "Man, we'll just do tongue and groove. It's cheaper than sheetrock."
No, they're not.
They're not thinking that.
They're not. No,
they have
they
no
hired a
idea.
company and they're just.
Yeah, they would
doing
have hired a builder, GC, something.
But we did the pad
I'm
ourselves.
so glad we hired
Did you
him
really?
for our
Yeah.
team.
You did the pad, the slab and everything, like you prepped.
We had the building engineered, and which I had to have a GC oversee that, which pissed me off because it officially to have a building permit.
You gotta
and
have a
everything-
license
yeah,
number.
You got to
Yeah.
have a license number, and I'm not licensed in Georgia.
yeah.
But on the pad and the concrete, and we had it engineered, and Danny, the concrete guy, he's like, no. I'm like, nope, we'll build the pad. We'll build the pad.
Yeah.
When they came, they were like, there's only like a 10 by 10 section that is off like 3/4 of an inch, just a little.
The rest of it's perfect.
He goes, how many people, how many farmers and people said, oh, I'll build the pad, and then we have
Then
to
it's
redo
off
it.
by 4 feet or
No,
something.
because we had to take out 2 or 3, 50, 60-year-old con trees. We had to take out,
yeah.
we had to lower the front by 6 foot, and we had to build on the back 4 foot, to
Make
have
that
a level.
balance.
And,
Yeah.
That's a big building.
It's a big building.
Well,
sure.
It's the smallest race shop that I've ever had, but it's a 9,000 square foot building that has almost 14,000 square feet of space.
Yeah.
That usable
Yeah, you got
space.
the covered parking and everything.
No. It's
No?
just inside
Upper levels?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
the
I
upper
built
levels.
the second floor on,
Okay,
on
yeah.
top of it for future development and storage. But
Yeah.
it's just like having the chase down both sides of the building. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
all your electrical, your AC, everything's down those 2
Yeah.
chases. So if anything ever goes wrong, you can walk down there and stand
Yeah.
up, lights on, work on it without tearing it
Without,
up.
yes, exactly.
But that's, those are other things that are going on than trying to build tracks,
I think you said it a minute ago. You're like, yeah, I don't have a ton of regret. I mean, you laid it all out there.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
gave it everything.
I feel like I did. I mean, it's just,
did.
it's one of those things that, we'll just, like I said, I don't have anything bad to say. We just had different viewpoints, and that's okay. It's just like managers, mechanics, everything else. And,
You have a pretty good idea of what, like the architecture of a successful team. Like, you know, the positions you got to fill.
They'll do great.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll do great.
That's what I'm saying.
They'll have
You-
good things.
you built that.
There are some, finally got to a point to where I could really concentrate on just the mental side and working with the riders, and that's what I'm going to miss the most. Is that I feel like with those guys, that getting them to understand the bigger picture, the long-term picture, and things like that is just, it's like Styles that day. He is so upset and he's mad, and that's all he can think about. And I'm like, bud, the only person that matters to is me.
Yeah.
And if I'm not upset, why are you so pissed off? I don't care what you are today.
Yeah.
Let's worry about that when we get there. What I'm concerned about is clipping the jumps, Jordan, don't go down in the sand. Just be consistent.
Austin,
And
keep it on two wheels. And
keep it on two wheels. I go, that's our, because the same concerns everybody has is like the same concerns when we hired Jaleel. Oh, he's been injured. He goes down. He hasn't made a full season. Where you can, I remember reading, which is why I deleted all my social media and all that shit.
It's not your friend.
No,
It's not, man.
but it's like, well, I hope they got the local hospital such and such to, as their title sponsor with
we
that
don't need
group.
that.
That's just negative
and
shit.
like
Yeah,
you said,
it's
if you can work with them, you could sort of temper certain things. And
Yeah. Well, it's like with Austin. Everybody's going to question, all right, Austin. I believe in Austin. I believe in all of them, to my fault.
Yeah.
I think I can. And I'm not trying to pat. It's just a different mentality that I don't think that they've been in before,
I think that pressure cooker out west and being here in good old South Georgia, nothing to do but just ride a dirt bike is not a bad thing.
Well, it's like I tell the riders, you only have to be smarter in the dirt you ride on.
yeah.
If that line doesn't work, move over 6 inches.
Yeah.
But taking them and getting them to understand, the long game and the averages and looking at it differently, it's a different mentality. It's a different way. Like I said, it doesn't make it right or wrong, but I've been successful
You've
with
been
it.
successful because you had people that would want to give up on Jason Anderson. You had people that want to give up on Zach. And that year for Osborne, he looked amazing on the motorcycle.
They have the talent, and they want to win just as bad as anybody. And I can tell you, Jordan wants to win. Every one of those guys want to win. It's just knowing that if I get a fourth and I come back to the pit, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because
Historically speaking.
Hunter my son taught me so much. If there's anything in this whole life that I could go back and do differently, I wish I could go back and do Hunter's career differently. Stopwatch, lap times, train, bike. Typical dad. Calmer than most, but typical dad.
Still stern about it.
Yeah, to be able to go back. Hell, we never even rode off trail. It was on a track with his stopwatch and things like that. And it just got to him. And being able to understand that, hey, there are those that actually really want to win a championship. And then there are those that are actually comfortable being a top 10 guy or a top 5 guy. Hunter was comfortable being a top 10 guy.
Yeah.
He'd like to win a championship. And I guess where our frustration was that Hunter had a lot of talent to be better than what he was, but I can't want it more than what he wants it.
You can't make any kid want it.
No.
Absolutely not. You can't, a rider, kid, whatever. You
No,
can't make them want it. You know what I mean? Like,
a lot of times I should listen to my own advice. I tell everybody, look, when we get upset, I'm going to time out, shut my mouth, walk away for 24 hours, research before I react, and sometimes I just can't hold my tongue. I just can't.
None of us
I'll
are
tell
perfect.
everybody else to do it. Yeah, I'm like, whoa, time out.
I can't hold my tongue on here, much
Yeah.
less ask anything important.
Yeah.
But no, I do wish them. I wish them the best of luck. I feel like
They got a great team.
They
I feel
got a
like
great
this is
team.
almost like when Jimmy Johnson left the Dallas Cowboys
And they won
and they
again.
banged out a couple of Super Bowls. I'm like, I feel like you've set them up. Like Austin could potentially win that summit right out of the gate.
Yeah, I just hope that
Hell, Jordan
just keep
could.
keep it in perspective. Just
Well, a change
not
of color
gonna-
on the front fender for Austin might be all
well,
this
it
takes.
was the same thing with Austin. I mean, with Anderson was that at that point in time, Anderson needed a change of front fender. I mean, he did. That was the best thing for him. And if I'm known for anything, I stand behind my riders.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of them, I don't believe any rider should be riding in this sport for free. I do believe that on some level they're like in the NFL or the NBA or any of those, there's a league minimum. And I think that, there should be the same here. So many of your privateers and everything get taken advantage of because you need to fill them. Hell, I remember one year on Suzuki, I went through 10 fill-in riders.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean,
That
it was
sounds
part of my
exhausting.
contract with Rockstar. If one guy got hurt, I mean, we went through 10.
Yeah, tell me how that works. Like, and I think I know, but like, how many ever races do? How many ever certain? Like, if you got three guys on a team, 16 round Supercross series. How does that work in terms of there has to be somebody on that bike? We don't care who it is. Jimmy Albertson on the HRC
It depends on your
Honda.
title sponsor. I mean, early
I know it's
on
different.
with-
The contracts can all be different.
And I think whether it's a Monster contract, Rockstar, or any of the others, I mean, you got to have riders on the track. It doesn't always make sense because you take Austin, for example, one of the reasons I really liked Austin was that I feel like he has the ability to win races. So I look at it at the end of the day, and this is where not everybody was agreeing was we can either hire somebody for the long term for 26, 27, 28 to win a championship, but which is going to help the program and Triumph the best, in my mind. And this is just my opinion. Not everybody agrees with it, but this is my opinion. Even if Austin goes out, and let's say he's on the box twice and he even wins a race, wins some heat races, he's 4, 5, 6 rounds in, God forbid, knock on wood, nothing happens, but he does get injured. Which is better for Triumph and the program? Having him on the box and winning races? What does that say about the team? What does that say about the bike? What does that say about the program? It's capable of winning.
competitive.
It's competitive. Anybody can do it. Versus having a rookie, which we know how most rookies' careers start out. He's finishing 10th or 12th or
Same old.
same old. Which is better for the program? I felt like from a dealer standpoint, sales standpoint, the program and everything else, I'd rather have 3 wins
Hell yes, you
than
would.
I would 9 or 10,
Tenths
8,
or whatever.
10th,
Yeah.
12th. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, all day.
so
Was that a hard sell? Like, was it for real a hard sell? Really? Austin Fortner, who was leading the series,
It's just-
kicking the
it's
shit out of
He
everybody
can
last
win
year,
anytime he wants.
and he wasn't hurt. I mean, he just had a freak weird whatever. His contact came out. or whatever.
It's just, and that's where I'm like, okay, this is what I'm hired to do.
Yeah, win and do
This
the best.
is who I want. This is the reason I want them, and I don't want to go in a different direction.
If he was available, hell yes, I'd take that guy.
Yeah.
So but like I said, it's just different. I look at it differently, and and at the end, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I can live with that, but I'll fight until
That's not a crazy. That is not a reach to try to hire. I know he has a propensity to crash. I know things have happened.
But like you said, you get him up there, he wins a race, even if he gets hurt, and then I hope he doesn't. But now you've proved you can win races.
On your bike,
Yeah,
and you can
Where
sell
if you
some
take
dirt bikes.
a rookie that
It's a very
a
long.
rookie's a gamble on the best bike.
He's not a gamble. When he's healthy, he's not a gamble.
He's
Austin's not a-
he's not a gamble on your bike.
it's like a rookie quarterback. We don't know what we're getting.
Yeah, it
till
doesn't
3
matter
years
what
in.
team he's on.
But it also, there's 2 different philosophies, and this doesn't matter whether it's Triumph or every program I've ever been with. If I'm going with a young rider, I'm going with him to win 3 years down the road.
Right.
You know, I am anything that comes before that is just
So 2-year
icing on the
contracts are
cake.
just dumb.
If you got a rookie, because the first 2 years, you know,
It's-
and
it's a shit
everybody's
show.
different. You know, Villapoto, first 2 years did great. Ricky, first 2 years did great. James, first 2 years did great. How about all the other riders?
That's not fair.
Yeah.
That's
How about everybody else?
everybody
Except the guys you
three
mentioned.
guys and then 200 other guys. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Jason Anderson won his first championship 4th year, won the second one 8th year. He would have won another one in the 450 class on his 12th year,
Yep.
except for he went down in Detroit.
Yep.
And he had the 3 years because I had all my money on Jason. I'm like, bud, and he was clear. But that's the way Jason goes. If you know Jason,
Every 4 years.
he goes through a cycle. He just goes through a cycle. It's like, okay, I won.
I need
The
to
next
feel it.
year-
I need to taste it. Oh, okay.
I hate all the shit that comes with winning. I got to do all these interviews. I got to do all this shit. And he hates that stuff. Second year, he's just doing it. Third year, you know, he
Starting
goes
to flicker
into it.
again.
He's like,
The
because by
taste.
the end of the second year, he's like over it, done with it. And third year, he's just kind of like, okay, well, I got to get my shit back together because I pushed the envelope out as far as I can. Then it recycles and he's like, all right, I'm all in. 4, 8, and if he wouldn't have got hurt, it'd have been 12. Dang. For the deal. And it's that way with a lot of guys, you know. It's like Deegan, he was on a high, he's on a high, you know, he's doing well. You have that emotional crash afterwards. It's hard to maintain that year after year.
Well, that's
after
like
year.
the Super Bowl slump. The next year,
Yeah.
typically the
You
Super
know,
Bowl or
and you
except for
look
the
at
Chiefs,
guys
but
like
baseball.
Villapoto and Dungy. I mean, it gets to a point to where it does become a job. You know, that passion that you had to win and things like that. It's no different than, okay, I've won every we, the teams, the organizations that I've been with, we've won every championship there is. Both 450, Supercross, outdoor, East Coast, West Coast, every championship you can win, you win. You know, the good thing about not being around for 2 years was that if I came back, you know, I had that fire.
You're hungry again.
I don't want to come just to be on the dance
Yeah.
floor. I want to win the dance. You know, I want to win the dance contest. I want to kiss a girl at the end of the night and hold the trophy up.
Nick, anything?
That's all he's got.
I'm being good tonight.
You are.
know
You
that?
are being good.
Normally, that's why I even said I was like, "You can do
I'm
this."
sitting on my hands over here.
Good man.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody doubts that, Bobby. I mean, you've always been known that the dude that makes it happen.
Yeah, but it's hard when you've never worked for anybody your whole life.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
I'm with you. We
thing-
said this, like, didn't we say like we are unemployable? Like,
Yeah.
we really are. We've always called the
Well,
shots.
I remember when when Husqvarna first wanted
I've
me to
had
come
one
over
job.
and everything, and you know I can remember God, I wish
That's
I
your
could
job.
remember his name. He was the CFO at Husqvarna, and I'm like, I'm telling Jeb, John Eric, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm the perfect employee. I understand accounting, profit and
No,
loss,
don't-
balance
Yeah.
I know what
sheet,
you're-
marketing, understand the
Cut the
sport.
grass.
And the CFO goes, "You're the worst employee." And I go, "What?" He's like, "You've never worked for anyone."
I've always thought if you like if I treated your business like it was my own, I thought that was a good thing.
No, 'cause
And
let me tell you something.
I can't separate the two.
Right.
I cannot.
But that only works for certain people. Because I have people that work for me that have been like, well, you know,
Well, if they run a shitty business, then
I treat
can't
your
speak
money.
for
I
that.
treat your money like it's my money, and I'm like,
Wait,
whoa,
whoa.
hold on,
Hold on.
I see what you do with your money.
yeah, I don't
Yes.
want you to do that with
Don't-
my money.
Don't treat my money like your money
Yeah, yeah.
because I see what you throw your shit away on.
Ask somebody to stay over all weekend and help you mow and see who treats it like
Yeah,
theirs.
they won't. They
But
don't.
it's-
Well,
And I can't separate the two.
I got to
I
say
mean, I
that
just
I'm
can't.
like, there's different people that way when you say friends. Like, I'm not the guy you call to ask you to come mow the grass, right? If you want
Are
me
you
to come,
for real, Nick?
if you want me to come, hey, if you want me to help you move at 2:00 on a Saturday afternoon, I'm not the guy. I might send two guys over to help you
He'll
move.
pay you. He'll pay to have two
Yes.
guys. I got my guys coming.
Now, if it's 3 a.m.
That's your guy.
And you
Nick
need
is
me
your
to
guy.
help you fucking hide a body?
Or seal. We need a closer on this chick.
Yes. Or you need to close a deal at 3 a.m.?
That's fair.
I'm your guy. I'll help you
Know
cut
your
the fucker
strengths,
up.
man.
And,
You will help move a starting gate.
yes.
Yep.
But at 2 a.m., don't give me too much time to plan. You have to call me at 3 a.m. and
Yeah,
say,
it's got to be panic time.
hey,
You're more of a decision time guy.
I'm a prime time player, son.
Yes.
Like, I'm your guy that's like,
He's a closer.
hey, it's 3 a.m. I got a body I need to get rid of. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll be there in a minute.
Right.
But if
That
you want me
is
to move at 2
pretty damn
o'clock on a
accurate.
Then he
Saturday.
call me to bring the excavator and let's bury this dude.
Yeah, at 2 o'clock on a Saturday, I'm going to be like,
I'm kind of busy.
Man,
dude.
I'm kind of riding.
how about I just send somebody to help?
Yeah.
I don't trust
Well,
Robbie.
They reach that point in your life, too, when people call you and they're like, man, before Uber and all this, they're like, I really need a ride. Okay, well, you get a cab to my house, and then I'll pay the driver when he gets here.
Yes, exactly.
Fair enough.
You know, I think, Bobby, I'd probably be in the same boat as you. I mean, I don't think I can separate that either. You're going to treat it like it's yours. You're going to give it everything you got, whatever needs to be done. You're just going to do it, even if it means work 100 and whatever plus hours a week. I mean, you left it all on the table, man. I mean, I think people know that about you. You work hard.
It's I appreciate that. I mean, it's you know, corporate world and my world don't always mix.
Dirt bike racing is dirt bike racing, right? It's
And
not.
at the end of the day, it's, you know,
Not
For
that
my
anybody
camp.
hears this show, but this would be as good for me with you would be as good as any job interview earlier because on earth, because that's the kind of guy. I mean, that's the kind of guy people we are. That's the kind of guy I would want running a team
Heck
as well.
yeah. Yeah,
You know, I mean,
for sure.
You know, somebody that's not bullshit, not, you know, that tells you like it is. I'm okay with people getting.
I mean, you're not
upset.
in a bad place. Let's be honest. Like, Honda HQ is 30 minutes from here.
Yamaha.
Yamaha, same thing. Yeah. Honda's about 45 in Roswell, and Honda's even close. Or excuse me, Yamaha's even closer.
Yamaha's
Super
8
close.
miles from here, from where we're sitting. You know, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
you'll be fine.
But is that what you want to do? You want to stay in the industry? Do you want to do something?
you know, I love racing. I say it's the closest that a guy my age can get to the starting gate.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I get just as sick and butterflies.
I think it's
and
worse.
Everything else.
Well, like
Being
watching.
on the line is way easier than watching somebody and being invested in somebody being on
Yeah,
the
but
line.
like grabbing a guy and like training him, watching him every day, watching him progress and watching all that, it's got to be just super
Incredible.
rewarding. Watching, I guarantee
is.
you and Jalik, tell me about that day when Jalik got on the podium. How'd it be?
Oh,
awesome?
it was. People, if you look at the photo, I'm holding up the number one finger because to me it
Good
felt
as a
like
win.
a win.
Yeah.
Everybody's giving me shit about it, and I'm like, hey, they're like,
You ain't mowing the
finished
grass
it."
at 10 o'clock and cleaning the pool.
Yeah.
No, it
Like,
felt
seriously.
like a win.
I get
mean,
it.
in that heat race, and then you know, even Joey on the outdoors, you know, we'd be last lap. You know, we're leading fastest qualifier, and I'm like, shit, yeah, oh God,
He's gonna
you know,
get it. He's
and
gonna
then
get it.
End up second by 1/10 of a second. I mean, each one of those little milestones, and that's
That'd be tough, man, with all day long. I'm telling you, it's like watching your kid race or watching your kid play baseball or
Wrestle.
like going to Caleb to wrestle, any of that. I would much rather be out there than be watching because you're so nervous when you're
You're
watching.
You're
That's
just
good.
as tired as them.
I mean, I don't eat on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know,
I can imagine when
I
you got
don't
4
eat
riders,
until
you have to do
then.
that. I've had one kid watching him in
you're
tournaments.
doing
I couldn't
4 on
imagine
a race
watching
day.
4
it's-
kids.
It's one of those things that, yes, there's success stories with Jason and all, but I think there's a lot of success. Did I do it right with all of them? No. I mean, it's like raising a kid. They don't come with a book. I tell my oldest son, you're the test dummy.
Sorry.
Yeah, we
buddy.
had to learn on
We had
you.
to learn on you. The time we got to number 3, we
had to figure it out.
figured out.
But like with Jason, there's a million different ways to get to a championship. You
Well,
know what I
the
mean? Like you
thing
said,
is no two riders, and I'll say it 1,000 times, no two riders are the same. Sometimes you got to be parent, sometimes you got to be therapist, sometimes you got to be, Bill Keefe was a great manager. He was well organized, everything, but he had one management style, and that was finger in your chest, foot
Yeah.
up your ass.
Hard.
Dave Gowan,
I would
great
much rather have it
friend.
that way than the way John does it,
you
which
know,
is finger up
he
your
knew
ass,
how
foot
to
in your
do
chest.
both of them, and
it.
and I tell both of them, I said sometimes you do have to put your arm around them and be their best
Yes.
friend, and you got to know when I always say when the sponge is open and willing to take on
Yeah.
water, because
Hey, man.
with kids,
Solid.
as a parent, hey, if you're not listening, it doesn't matter what's coming out of my mouth because you're not hearing a damn word.
We literally had to break John's hand to get him to win 3 bears.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah, they
won
had-
3 bears. What an idiot!
And we had
did
to
you
break,
guys
There's a
ever win a
fourth
bear
one
at
somewhere.
Mammoth?
we had to break his
That
hand.
shit's hard, dude.
It's back there. You got a little one back
The
there.
big ones. That's a winning
But
bear.
we had to break his hand to get him to do that.
For real.
He responds to that kind of punishment.
Well, it was
Yeah,
like,
just
I
the
used
harder
to
you
tell
hit me, the
people, I
better I
go,
ride.
like when we had Blake Baggett. Blake Baggett got the first win, on Suzuki at Dallas. First cover we had on Cycle News and stuff like that. Blake Baggett, the harder you were on him, I mean, you get in his face, you poke him in the chest, kick him in the ass, man, he responded. Tommy Hahn, you got it on him to me like that, he'd curl up in the corner.
Yeah.
But you got to
So
be able to
difficult.
recognize those things, how to motivate them, how not to. There's no one management style, and I think that's where the difference is, understanding how do you connect with this kid, and how do you connect with that guy, and when do you push, and when do you pat him on the back. You can't.
But you've had lightning strikes. I mean, it's to win a championship is a lightning strike.
Yeah.
I mean, like that is getting struck by lightning to win a championship, and you've been there. I mean, that's a big deal.
It's-
And like I said,
it's
it's
not
multiple
just
ways
me,
to
though.
get
I
there.
mean,
but you've been on the team. You've been
Of
a
course not.
leader
It's
of the
not just
team. It's
one-
just not you.
But still.
You weren't riding the bike.
Yeah, but
I mean,
listen to how his guys did it. They were not the first round, first draft pick guys that went to pro circuit and had whatever. They were Jason Anderson, who he had to sit for a couple weeks to
Yeah, go
finally
ahead and
win a
go home and
championship.
think about this
Zach Osborne, who goes, "Hey man, I'm going to go to England or Europe and race for a few years, then
Yeah.
I'll come back." Like that is a crazy way to knock down some championships.
motocross we take for granted so much that that's the way it happens sometimes, and people work hard and get it that way because we think. I mean, especially because we're from the South, we're like, oh, we remember when Ricky was coming up, and we knew when Ricky was 12, he was going to win championships.
Yeah.
You know, we knew when James was 12.
Yeah, in my life, I've seen like 4 of those dudes. Like
Yeah.
those dudes are
Yeah, but
not normal.
Kelly,
But-
you've been around long enough to know that, and I always tell her, but I've seen just as many people who you would think that are at that 10, 11, 12.
Yes,
That's the next Messiah that don't even ever make it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just as many as
Probably more.
who don't do anything as an amateur or something, but then everybody matures and changes. I mean, take Plessinger, for example. I mean, he didn't go around the same route. It's just, you can even look at Kennard, and, as a mini rider and things like that, little old chubby Kennard.
Didn't do it till he was a B rider.
Yeah.
Figured
all
it out
of a
was a
sudden
B.
as
Yeah.
B rider. And I'm like, and I tell parents that all the time. I'm like, look, I've been there. That 65 championship
mean
at
shit.
Loretta's
It don't
doesn't mean shit. Neither does the 85, never does the Super. The only difference is that if you see a kid that consistently wins, he'll always be there. He may struggle some years. I can remember when Hunter was just doing well, and then he got to 85s. 85s, he was shit. I mean, he was shit. He was too big,
Yeah.
just didn't mature enough. But then he got to the B class, and then he started clicking off championships and things like that. And then, it just different ones are at different times. But that Loretta Lynn championship does not mean that you're going to have a great career or not so great.
Nope.
It's just part of the
No,
process.
because Villapoto got it once.
Yeah.
Dungy got it once. MC
Yeah.
got it once. Villapoto got it once.
And there's a ton of people that, like, there's probably way more that have championships. Like, I would like to know the ratio of, like, people that won a 65 championship that actually
Won
top-
something in the pro
top
class.
3 to a pro class.
Yeah.
That number would be
It's not always 1 to 1.
that ratio
right?
would be minuscule, I bet.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I just told you 4 guys that got 1 title ever. MC, Dungy, Villapoto.
And they're some of the best
Ever.
ever to do it.
There's 2 championships that I think we lost. The one with Davey, because when we were going into Daytona, and he wanted to go,
2013.
he wanted to go to his place here in Georgia and train. A lot of people don't know that. I mean, he tweaked his knee. I mean, we thought the season was over, and I mean, he limped through 4 3 or 4 races just trying to get points and stuff. We lost that championship by, 3 or 4
Yeah, it was so close.
points to Villapoto. I mean, he got him at the
And he
last
was hurt.
round. And he was hurt those 3 or 4 rounds. If he hadn't have got hurt, we'd have won that year.
Yeah,
and
I
I
agree.
wanted that one so bad because, as far as I know, we would have been the first. I mean, absolutely privateer, no fun. Like I said, we couldn't get a counter sprocket from Suzuki. We couldn't get shit.
That is so
Yeah,
incredible.
what was the budget again? Can you say that?
Well, we went from full factory support
The year before?
the year before
Yep.
to nothing. When I mean nothing, I mean nothing.
We're gonna have to cut your budget. Well, how much are you gonna
Oh, well,
cut?
no, we're
cutting
I mean,
it.
we're cutting your budget.
Yeah, there is no budget.
There's not a
Quit
percentage
saying
here.
that word.
At that time, we wanted a lighter fly. I remember we wanted a lighter flywheel. God, just give us a lighter flywheel, please, please, please. We couldn't get shit. I mean, that's when I,
God, and you delivered on a year where you didn't have anything.
that was. I mean, but I think Mike Kelso at Rockstar, and I mean that was one of the best, most enjoyable
You
years.
were talking about that, the
Yeah.
funnest year.
2013 didn't have to ask anybody for shit.
We need a.
Yeah, because
had-
they weren't going to give it to you,
No,
right? You
but
could
I
find
mean,
it.
I remember Jamie Ellis built the first motor for Davey, and Davey was like, "Oh,
Whoa, from Twisted?
Yeah,
Jamie Ellis is a-
way back on
He was
Twisted.
working for me then.
He's a friend of the
Actually,
show.
Scuba was Davey's mechanic
Wow.
at the time.
Yeah, I think I knew
but,
that.
But no, Davey's like, whoa, 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 no. I mean,
You good?
No, I'm good. Okay, I'm good. We had Showa.
I know.
And luckily for Rockstar, they believed in me enough or believed in our program enough that I'm like, if you'll give me the funding,
Come on.
we'll win a championship. And
Yeah.
and we held the red plate for a long time on that. I really wanted that
11
one bad.
rounds or something you
Hey,
said.
Suzuki, we really need a lighter flywheel. Okay, if you'll go to SuzukiParts.com
Best I can do is
No,
Yeah,
you couldn't do it.
motorsport. Go
But I mean-
somewhere.
and set up an account. Do you want to set up an account or check out as a guest?
But
have
it's
these
it's like with any program, and I did my business this way as well, is that, if I stay focused on what I know I'm good at, but then it's like I tell everybody, I'm not an attorney. I understand law, but I'm not the best attorney, but I have the best attorney.
Yeah.
I'm not an account. I can read a balance sheet.
Not a
P&L,
writer, but I can
do
get
it.
the best
I can
writer.
do a budget, but I'm not an accountant. I know what I'm good at, but then I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I don't want to feel like I have to be the smartest guy in the room. I just want to surround myself with the smartest people.
This is
I mean,
a sign
it's
of
like
a good leader. Always.
That generally says you're the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
Because the
When you
smart-
surrounded
when the-
yourself with the
maybe
smartest-
the wisest.
You know, Dave Arnold will forget more shit about a chassis than I'll ever know about it.
Yeah.
And Dudley will know more about a motor than I will. And, I tell guys all the time, I go, look, can I tear a motorcycle down and put it back together? Absolutely. Do I understand how its components work and things like that? Am I the best at it? Absolutely not. That's why I hire the people
Yeah.
to surround me, and I stay focused on the things that I feel that I'm really good at, and then I want to surround myself with the best of the best. And they're in a great position. I wish them the best of luck. I think they're going to win a lot. If everybody stays the course and everything, and I think that they'll be very successful. And for Triumph, in its second year, I think they're going to do phenomenal things, and I wish them all the best.
For sure.
Dude, like all four of those guys, like I've known them for so long. Like I know Jalik's story and his dad being incarcerated. So he would call his dad after he got off of a race and like from wherever he was at and like talk to him. And I know Styles, he was awesome. He was one of the funniest kids, most outgoing guys like you were talking about. Jordan Smith is gnarly as shit. Awesome kid too. And I think Austin can win right now. Like you guys, like that's
Well,
a
that was
good
the
group of
thing was
dudes.
that I told Jordan and I told Jalik, I was like, Jordan, you're the oldest, it's your job, and Austin, it's your job
Lead these dudes.
to help get these guys to the next level. And I even had a conversation with Jalik on, look, I need you to be the captain of the ship. I haven't worked with these guys one-on-one, and so my communication skills aren't the best sometimes, and I've got a very dry sense of humor, and, a lot of times, sometimes it gets taken the wrong way, but help them understand how I manage, work with the riders and things like that. Styles, there wouldn't have been any problem with. But, you know, it's just really being able to get them to think about the things that they probably haven't thought about in a long time and understanding the long game, which is why I signed them for multiple years, is that if we don't do it this year, we'll do it next year. And I'll tell you, everybody on that team can win a race,
I
win a
completely agree
championship,
with that.
and, you know.
Sure.
And I'd put them up against, you know, all the other programs and things like that. But you just got to know, hey, I used to tell Ryan Sipes all the time, he would drive me freaking nuts. He'd be in third place and he could see second. And man, he's just like a bulldog. He'd just push and push and push and push, and he'd ride over his head. He'd end up going down. He'd finish 18th. And I'm like, Ryan, just take the third.
Yeah.
You know, live to race another day. Don't push it so hard that you do it. You know, it's about consistency, putting those points together. Push it when we get to the last 2 or 3 rounds, and we got to have, okay, mathematically,
We got to go.
we got to do this, this, and this to control our own destiny. We'll see what happens, but when it's just getting them to think differently.
Live for the long term. Yeah, they
Yeah.
live for the
Live
day.
the long
That's
term
it.
and things
Athletic
like that.
maturity.
And really, you know,
I
we're
bet if you were to
talking-
ask him right now, he'd be like, God, he's so right. Like, Ryan's such a good dude. I know he would agree with you.
Yeah.
He's got a kid now that's racing. They're all in it now.
But I mean, you look, and it's really funny seeing the older riders now with their kids and stuff going through. Some of them are doing, you know, really well, and
Some are that mini dad, right?
some of them are that mini dad. But you know, and hey, I was a mini dad at one time. I mean,
yeah.
no one's perfect. You know, it's just trying to understand that, hey, there's a end game here, and if we play it right and we plan it right and we do everything which is in our control. I mean, you even talk about Austin, you know, when he got drugged down and tied in and, you know, tore his knee and everything, that's a racing incident. You know, there's nothing that you can do about that. But it's just, like I said, it's not right or wrong. It's just different.
Yeah.
And
I sit in the announcing booth too. Every time I hear Mini Dad, I think about Kevin, and I love that about being Kevin races because
What do you
the
mean?
way he doesn't put up with many parents
Oh,
Kevin?
as an announcer,
no.
I love it. Like he does
Kevin
not
doesn't
cut
like
him
it.
any slack whatsoever.
No, don't yell at your kid. Like, I've called out people at Baja Brawl. I was in a treehouse. This guy was throwing his stuff at a kid on a PW. And he was running at me. We had a treehouse. We had a hole here. So if he comes up, I'm going to kick this guy in the face because I know he's going to be.
I can remember being at Vegas for that national
World Mini.
World Mini, and there is a 50 dad next
Losing
to me.
her mind.
Losing his shit. And he's talking to his 5-6-year-old like I'd talk to you if you and I were about to go
If
into
he'd
a
asked
brawl.
you 3 times for something.
Okay, fair enough.
But I mean, and I couldn't take it anymore. I walked over to him. I said, if you say one more word to your kid, I swear to God, I'll kick your
beat
ass.
that.
I love when they're so pissed off, and I've been in the booth with Kevin enough, and I see these parents, and they're like, faster, faster. I'm like, they're fucking going as fast as
They're
they can.
6 years old, dude.
Yeah, you're like,
Dude, I went to B Ray's dad, Brandon Ray's dad, at Mammoth. I'm like, look, man. I said, are you having fun today? I stepped out of the booth. I said, he goes, no. I said, you got to shut up. Like, you got to leave your kid alone. Like, he's going to quit. As soon as he's old enough to quit, I said, you will quit
Yeah.
motocross because of that dude right there.
And that's why I say I wish I could go back and do it differently with Hunter, because there were at times, I mean, it's hard to separate as a parent. You know, I'm much better. And my kids will tell you, you know, they go, well, you've got 14 other children, you know, and you treat them.
You've
you
got
know,
it all better.
you know.
Practice
And
makes
I'm with-
perfect, right?
And with the riders, yeah. With the riders, it's, you know,
You have
I
14
predict-
children?
no, I do not.
Great
But,
children.
you know,
I'm just
and
kidding.
some of them I'm pissed at. And
you
some
get
of them,
so pissed with a kid though when you're like, I can remember the moment with my son at a tournament, and I was pissed. We had driven to like Louisville, Kentucky, and he looked like he didn't give a shit whether he won, lost, or whatever. You know what I mean? And didn't make like terrible in pools, and I was so freaking mad I couldn't stand it. And I just remember looking at him and him looking back at me, and I was like, I went and walked outside, and I walked around for like probably walked a mile. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to be pissed at my kid ever again about sports. You know what I mean? Like, we drove up here. There's nothing I can do. I can't make him want it. I can't make him not want it. I can't do it. I'm not out there. So
Yeah.
enjoy yourself.
Well,
have a good time.
you take two of them. It's like Jason Anderson, Mike, his dad. Whatever you want to do, just go ride, just have fun, just do all. Now, Mike, when it got more serious and stuff, there were moments.
He probably
but
had some expectations.
I'm sure
right?
they did, but you'd never know it from the outside looking in. And, and with Zach, his dad, Mark, he pushed and pushed and pushed. But those two guys are very similar in their work ethic. I mean, when Jason's on, Jason's on. Zach, and with both of them, I would worry more about them overtraining or, pushing too hard than I would. That might not be the perception outside, but, it's really understanding how to get the best out of each individual, whether that's a champion or whether it's a fifth place guy, and at the end of the day, it is what it is. And
God, they're all different.
There's no way
And
to
they're
know.
gonna do what
It's a
they-
moving
like,
target.
Like some
Yeah.
kids love getting pushed. My kid, after that day, he did better every time when I just kept my damn mouth shut.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I
mean,
didn't
I-
say a word.
I
was
do
like,
take gratification in the fact that I think that if you would have asked anybody whether Jason would have been a champion early on, they'd all said no. If you'd asked, anyone early on with Zach and him leaving and going, will he be a champion? You'd say no. If you'd ask if Davey would ever return to his former glory, they'd have said no. And being able to do that with those guys when everybody else is like, you're nuts, that gives you a lot of
I
gratification.
think it's safe to say you brought the best out in those dudes.
No, that's called coaching up. Like,
No, you can't
in
make-
baseball, that's like
There was-
literally what the Braves have
there
done.
was nothing you could do to make them want it or make them do it, but you could accommodate what they wanted.
Give them
And
their
help-
needs.
and-
Give them
and
what they need.
give them the
Give them what
tools they
needed
need to
and
figure
help
it
them
out.
the best way you
Yes.
help them.
that
the
might
best
be
way.
your best strength.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like I said at the very end, if everybody walks away and says, you know what, he gave me every reason and every resource I needed to
Yeah.
be the best I can be, I have no regrets.
Freaking did your
I'm
job.
a fourth place guy. I'm always going to be a fourth place guy. I can live with hell. I'm proud about that.
Yeah, man.
You can't take that away. I mean, it's like even Nicoletti. I tell him, hey, who's the 450 podium that you got with?
Yeah.
What's up?
Hey, and Phil, I think he's another one that outpaced every amateur projection
Oh,
that you ever thought. There was dudes who would die for his career. He had a great
He
career.
had a
yes.
great career.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, it's everybody's
not
careers are
everybody's
so
going to
different.
win.
No,
but
you can make money. You can sustain
it's
yourself.
like Dean Wilson. Dean Wilson is a prime example. I mean, he's extended his career in many different ways and
Yeah.
Making more than working somewhere probably and still having
and enjoying it and
Yeah.
things like that. It's
Yeah, for sure.
it's just those are the things that, at least for me in my career, when I look back, I go, I don't have any regrets. Like I said, the only regret I have is I wish I'd have done it different with my own kid.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
That's looking
truly
back
did.
now with all the knowledge you have now.
Yeah.
At the time,
But you
you
were the
were
best
making
you could at the time. You know what I mean? You did the best with what you knew at the time.
at the time you did
You don't
the best
know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you'll always have that with your kids. You just want the best for them so much.
Yeah.
So how many kids do you have?
3.
3 kids? Yeah. Boys, girls.
2 boys and a daughter. Daughter's the youngest. 40, 45, and 32.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
40, 45.
40, 30.
Who is?
Ryan's 40.
Yep.
Hunter's 35.
Kevin's
Holly's
like, he's still a
32.
kid.
Dude, I announce these guys. Like, that's what I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's wild, man. Time marches on, in our head. There's
Dude, I'm still at Oak Hill watching, like,
Yeah.
good
Yeah, and then
Lord.
all of a sudden they got houses.
But it was a
and-
different. Hunter came through. You had Matt Lemoyne, Trey Kennard, you had Matt Bonney. I mean, the list goes on and on. There was like 10 or 11
pretty
of
heavy.
them of that.
No, it
came
was
through some
super
heavy
deep.
years.
Super deep.
Super deep. Izzy was in that. Stroop was in there.
Lemoyne,
Lemoyne, all of them.
Dungy,
and
Villapoto,
all of
Alessi.
that whole group, was either a year ahead.
They
or
were
in
within
that,
a
or-
3-year window.
But they would still cross paths and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
All the
It's
time.
tough.
You know.
Those were not
Lord.
easy years.
No.
Yeah, then
For
I was interviewing Cooper Webb. He was on a 60. Like, what is this guy? And then AC. Jeez.
Yeah, Kevin. You're getting old, dude.
Derek Nebbit, little Ed. I'm here with Cooper Webb's little son now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Jeez.
that day's probably coming, right? So,
Well, shoot, man. We just spent, in 10 seconds, 2 hours with Bobby Hewitt.
In 10 seconds.
that was a good
Just like
2
that.
hours
Good stuff.
for sure.
Well, guys, I appreciate you having me.
Well, we're thankful for the time, man, for real.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
it's
appreciate it for
good to
sure.
catch up. We know we kind of went full circle from a launch of a 250 and now a launch of there's a 450 in the works, I guess, any
A
second now.
four-man team.
Four-man team. Like you've made a lot of progress.
Well,
So
thank you.
I think it's a good run, and I hope you look back on it with nothing but positivity.
Look forward to seeing you at Ducati, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah, and Honda's new XR75
Wanted to
effort.
announce here that he's heading up our
I mean, XR250
XR
effort.
250 effort.
Yeah,
you
we'll
know?
see you at VMD. Your
Yeah.
first thing is to
Vintage
reclaim.
Yeah,
motorcycle
your
day,
first
yeah.
thing
Your
is to
reclamation
reclaim
project is these guys
No,
right here.
reclaim the fun. Vintage motorcycle days in Ohio, funnest thing you'll ever do.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah, you'd have a blast.
you'll go there, and if that was your bike of choice, there'll be 50 of those,
Yeah.
and you'll go find them. And then whatever was cool as a kid, you'll see it all. It's a cool little race you've never heard of.
I enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, man. Well,
Awesome.
thank you for the time.
Thanks.
We appreciate it, Bobby.
We'll close it out. Bobby, thanks. We'll
Thank
shut
you.
her down.
Love y'all.